Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to you wherever you are in the world, and welcome to The Show Must Go Online. I'm Robert Miles, actor, writer, director, and creator of the Shakespeare Deck. Every week, a global cast and crew of all levels of experience donate their time and talent freely as part of an ongoing mission to create Shakespeare for everyone for free forever. Last week, during Cymbeline, we hoped for a happy ending to 2020. And with news of Trump's defeat and a vaccine on the horizon, we may be starting to see that a more optimistic future is possible. But today, we must also remember the past. And to do so, I'd like to welcome our associate producer, Matthew Rhodes.
Thanks, Rob. Good morning, everyone. It is 11 a.m. here on the West Coast. And today in Canada, the UK, and in other countries across the world, is Remembrance Day. Today, we remember the victims of war, both combatant and civilian, and honor the values of service, dignity, integrity, and duty. Today, I think of numerous family members who served in the First and Second World Wars, and my second cousin who served as a peacekeeper. Remembrance, at its heart, should be a commitment to peace and an end to violence and hate in all forms. To glorify war, violence, and death is to forget, lest we forget. I invite you to take a moment of silence with me in remembrance. Thank you. And back over to Rob.
Thank you so much, Matt. And now, tonight's production of William Shakespeare and John Fletcher's Henry VIII, or All is True, will commence in approximately 10 minutes' time. The chronology of the first folio is coming to an end, and we have made a rare exception to bring Henry VIII forward 1 week, so we finish next week with The Tempest. We hope you'll join us for our grand finale and invite everyone you know, even those you don't, to help make it a celebration of the extraordinary journey that we've been on together over the last 8 months. In the meantime, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, remembering of course to hit the bell icon to receive all notifications, and follow us at TSMG Online Live on Twitter or at The Show Must Go Online on Insta and Facebook. And now, to introduce tonight's play, brought to us as always by the resplendent Ben Crystal, it's my pleasure to welcome to the show Brandi K. Adams. Brandi K. Adams is an undergraduate program manager at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Her research in early modern and Renaissance studies and literature focuses on the history of reading and books as told through early plays, staged both at theatres and the universities, that were printed and published in England during the 16th and 17th centuries. Her interests lie at the intersections of book history, history of reading, theatre history, and race and gender in early modern drama. Brandi, the show is Henry VIII, or All is True, and the floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Brandi Adams, and I'm so happy to be with you for this production. The play that you're here to see, the one that you know as Henry VIII, has an alternate title, All is True. Before I talk about the play itself, I'd like to start with the true story that took place on June 29th, 1613, when this play was performed at the Globe Theatre in London. During what was the play's third or fourth performance, small cannons were fired, likely during a scene in which King Henry holds a mask at Cardinal Wolsey's residence. A spark hit the thatching on the roof of the Globe. As the actors continued performing on the stage, the flames smoldered, the roof caught fire, and then, much to everyone's surprise, the entire building burned to the ground. Fortunately, there was only one injury, and there was rumor of a second, but there were no deaths. The injury, you ask? A man's breeches caught fire, but fortunately, the flames were put out by a bottle of ale. A short time after this catastrophe, a ballad was written to commemorate it. This fearful fire began above, a wonder strange and true, and to the stage house did remove, as round as tailor's clue, and burnt down both beam and snag, and did not spare the silken flag. Oh, sorrow, pitiful sorrow, and yet all this is true. The play that you will see this evening is a whirlwind of history told by Shakespeare and John Fletcher, who at the time were both playwrights for the King's Men, the theater company patronized by King James I, Elizabeth I's successor to the English crown after her death in 1603. The plot closely follows significant events concerning Henry VIII's reign, all dutifully recorded by Raphael Holinshed in his Chronicles, a historical narrative about England, Scotland, and Ireland, first published in 1577, with a second edition in 1587. It is likely that Shakespeare and Fletcher drew their material from the second edition. The action starts with a conversation between the Dukes of Norfolk and Buckingham, in which Norfolk describes an opulent festival designed to improve relations between England and France. This occasion became known as the Field of Cloth of Gold, where the French were cliquant and gold, and the British looked as fantastic and wealthy as India itself, or their idea of India. Both men expressed disapproval at Cardinal Wolsey, the architect of the event, both for his closeness to the king and to the great expense that was extracted from them and their peers to finance this display. They go on to criticize Wolsey's growing role and undue influence in the king's household. At this time, Buckingham also determines that Wolsey has set him up for a charge of high treason, which comes with a penalty of death. Because of the treachery of Buckingham's servant, who is goaded on by Wolsey, King Henry finds the Duke of Buckingham guilty of treason, and he is sent to his death. Before his death, however, Queen Katherine tries to intervene, all the while pointing out the flaws in Wolsey's behaviors and actions toward the king, including a tax that was impoverishing merchants and encouraging an uprising. The tax is rescinded, but her concerns are dismissed. After Buckingham's death, the Dukes of Norfolk and Suffolk fail in their attempt to convince the king of Wolsey's treacherous behavior. Meanwhile, the king's romantic attentions have turned to one of Queen Katherine's attendants, Anne Boleyn, after meeting her at a banquet held by Wolsey. Rumors spread far and wide about the king's interest in this young woman and the trouble that his attentions will cause his marriage in the country. Despite the king's best efforts to quell the rumors, the truth of his infatuation spreads throughout London. Henry begins to lament his 20-year marriage to his brother Arthur's widow, Katherine, and questions its legality. He has Wolsey and Cardinal Campius preside over a tribunal to interrogate the legitimacy of his marriage. As Katherine positions herself politically, religiously, and matrimonially loyal to Henry, her pleas go unheeded. She locates Wolsey's deceit and then declares that any tribunal should take place in Rome. She leaves the tribunal and refuses to return. Because they are furious with the king's infatuation with Anne, Wolsey and Campius try to convince Katherine to repair her relationship with the king. It does not work. An innocent-seeming Anne Boleyn is named Marchioness of Pembroke, and then she marries the king in secret. Together, the Dukes of Norfolk and Suffolk conspire to unseat Wolsey. They are successful, and Cranmer is appointed as Archbishop of Canterbury. Wolsey is disgraced, Henry divorces Katherine, and Anne is crowned queen. Katherine falls ill, and as she rests in her deathbed, her gentleman usher, Griffith, informs her that Wolsey has also died. After Katherine's death, Anne gives birth to Elizabeth I, who will become Queen of England. Before he baptizes Elizabeth, Cranmer escapes a heresy charge with the king's help. At the ceremony, Cranmer predicts the greatness and longevity of the future queen's rule, for which the king gives him thanks. So many actions and consequences that occur in this play are governed by indirect communication and fraught relationships. From the very beginning, Buckingham's fractious relationship with Wolsey extends to the king and establishes how control of information and news can ensure an individual's ultimate rise or downfall in court. What information the king learns and chooses to believe shapes the fate of his subjects' livelihoods, whether it is the merchants who are adversely affected by Wolsey's extravagant taxes, or the actual lives of Buckingham, who is unable to control the narrative of treason, Katherine, who despite her fiery and persuasive rhetoric cannot dissuade a king inclined to infidelity, and Wolsey, a masterful rhetorician, eventually outsmarted by his own deceit. How the king chooses to understand the world through those who work purposefully to interpret it for him demonstrates the power of rumor, news, and carefully crafted opinion to a person in position of ultimate political and economic power. This play's title, which makes it seem as though it will be centered on Henry, is a little bit misleading. Henry seems to be a judge, an arbiter, a consumer of news and rumor, as he attempts to understand the motivations of those around him, but perhaps only as much as it will serve his ultimate goal of marrying Anne Boleyn and securing a male heir to his throne to ultimately secure his legacy and history. Henry, like us as audience members, have to discern the truth through snippets of conversations and our own ability to recollect information we glean from various characters. In fact, how we as an audience learn about the happenings of the play, mostly through newsworthy conversations, whether it's from Norfolk's descriptions of opulent events to gentlemen who appear throughout the play to forward the narrative and explain the passing of time and other happenings, including marriages, divorces, and death, giving us points of reference for the additional news to come. News, which is rife with both truths and falsehood, destroys a variety of rather innocent lives, particularly Buckingham's and Catherine's. Even though falsehoods, blatant misinterpretations of laws, and suppression of the truth causes their individual demises, both Katherine and Buckingham forgive everyone involved in their displacement or death, both as a magnanimous gesture, but also to control a narrative of news surrounding their deaths. Their gracious actions ensure both the well-being of the living king, who must be a subject himself to continual good news, and it also guarantees their positive stories and histories that they survive in perpetuity. In the end, even Wolsey, who perhaps did not deserve it, is nevertheless allowed to have a history with positive attributes, as Griffith recounts his life to Katherine before her death. But in the end, where does all of this news and attempts at the truth get us? It gets us to the birth and baptism of Elizabeth, who, as Cranmer speaks not in flattery but in truth, will bring England 1,000,000 blessings, and who will be a pattern to all princes living with her, and who will rule over a nation where every man shall eat in safety under his own vine what he plants, and sing the merry songs of feast to all his neighbors. And where she will be the happiness of England. Whether or not this is the absolute truth is very debatable, but for a time, at least in this play, all is true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brandi, for that wonderful introduction, a perfect preparation for our digital groundlings as we prepare for this evening's show. And now, groundlings, that very show is about to begin. So please make sure that you are sitting comfortably and maybe light a candle or two to enjoy William Shakespeare and John Fletcher's Henry VIII.
Prologue.
I come no more to make you laugh. Things now that bear a weighty and a serious brow, sad, high, and working, full of state and woe. Such noble scenes as draw the eye to flow we now present. Those that can pity here may, if they think it well, let fall a tear. The subject will deserve it. Only they that come to hear a merry bawdy play, a noise of targets, or to see a fellow in a long motley coat guarded with yellow, will be deceived. For think you see the very persons of our noble story as they were living. Think you see them great and followed with the general throng and sweat of 1,000 friends. Then, in a moment, see how soon this mightiness meets misery. And if you can be merry then, I'll say a man may weep upon his wedding day.
London, the Palace.
morrow, and well met. How have you done since last we saw in France?
I thank your grace, healthful, and ever since a fresh admirer of what I saw there.
An untimely ague stayed me a prisoner in my chamber when those sons of glory, those two lights of men, met in the Vale of Andres.
Then you lost the veil of earthly glory. Men might say, till this time, pomp was single, but now married to one above itself. Today, the French, all clinquant, all in gold, like heathen gods, shone down the English, and tomorrow, they made Britain India. Every man that stood showed like a mine. The madams too, not used to toil, did almost sweat to bear the pride upon them. Now this mast was cried incomparable, and the ensuing night made it a fool and beggar.
Who did guide, who set the bodies and the limbs of this great sport together, as you guess?
Well, all this was ordered by the great discretion of the Right Reverend Cardinal of York.
Devil speed him. When no man's pie is freed from his ambitious finger, what had he to do in these fierce vanities? I wonder that such a keech can with his very bulk take up the rays of the beneficial sun and keep it from the earth.
Surely, sir, there is in him stuff that puts him to these ends. For being not propped by ancestry, whose grace chalks successors their way, nor called upon from high feats down to the crown, neither allied to eminent assistance, but spider-like, out of his self-drawing web, gives us note the force of his own merit makes his way, a gift that heaven gives him, which buys a place next to the king.
I cannot tell what heaven hath given him. Let some graver eye pierce into that. But I can see his pride peep through each part of him. Whence has he that? If not from hell, the devil is a miser, or has given all before, and he begins a new hell in himself.
Why the devil upon this French going out took he upon him, without the privity of the king, to appoint who should attend on him? He makes up the file of all the gentry, for the most part, those to whom as great a charge as little honour he meant to lay upon.
I do know kinsmen of mine, 3 at least, that have been so sicken their estate that never they shall abound as formerly.
Oh, many have broke their backs with laying manners on them for this great journey.
Grievingly, I think, the peace between the French and us not values the cost that did conclude it.
Every man, after the hideous storm that followed, was a thing inspired and, not consulting, broke into a general prophecy that this tempest, dashing the garment of this peace, aboded the sudden breach on't.
Which budded out, for France hath flewed the league and hath attached our merchants' goods at Bordeaux.
A proper title of peace, and purchased at a superfluous rate.
Why all this business our reverend Cardinal carried?
Like it, your grace, the state takes notice of the private difference betwixt you and the Cardinal. You know his nature, that he's vengeful, and I know his sword hath a sharp edge. It's long and may be said it reaches far, and where 'twill not extend, thither he darts it. Bosom up my counsel. You'll find it wholesome. Lo, here comes that rock that I advise you of shunning.
The Duke of Buckingham surveyor, huh? Where's his examination?
Here, so you please.
Is he in person ready?
Aye, please your grace.
Well, we shall then know more, and Buckingham shall lose that big look.
This butcher's cur is venomous-mouthed, and I have not the power to muzzle him. Therefore, best not wake him in slumber. A beggar's book outworths a noble's blood.
What are you chafed? Ask God for temperance. That's the pliance which your disease requires.
I read his looks matter against me, and his eye reviled me as his abject object. At this instant, he bores me with some trick. He's gone to the king. I'll follow and outstare him.
Stay, my lord, and let your reason color your question. Huh? What's his you go about?
I'll to the king, and from a mouth of honour quite cry down this Ipswich fellow's insolence, or proclaim there's difference in no persons.
Be advised! Heat's not a furnace for your foe so hot that it do singe yourself. We may outrun by violent swiftness that which we run at, and lose by overrunning. Know you not the fire that mounts the liquor till to run o'er in seeming to augment it, waste it? Be advised!
Sir, I am thankful to you, and I'll go along by your prescription. But this top-proud fellow, by intelligence and proofs, I do know to be corrupt and treasonous.
Say not treasonous.
To the king I'll say it, and make my vouch as strong as shore of rock. Attend. This holy fox, only to show his pomp as well in France as here at home, suggests the king, our master, to this last costly treaty. The interview that swallowed so much treasure, and like a glass did break i' the wrenching.
Faith, and so it did.
Pray give me favour, sir. This cunning cardinal, the articles of the combination drew as himself pleased, and they were ratified as he cried, "Thus let be," to as much end as to give a crutch to the dead. But our Count Cardinal has done this, and 'tis well, for worthy Wolsey, who cannot err, he did it. Now this follows. Charles the Emperor here makes visitation. His fears were that the interview betwixt England and France might through their amity breed him some prejudice. For from this league peeped harms that menaced him. Privily deals with our Cardinal. When way was made and paved with gold, the Emperor thus desired that he would please to alter the king's course and break the foresaid peace. Let the king know, as he soon shall, by me, that thus the Cardinal does buy and sell his honour as he pleases, for his own advantage.
I'm sorry to hear this of him, and I wish you were something mistaken in it.
No, not a syllable. I do pronounce him in that very shape he shall appear in proof.
Your office, Sergeant. Execute it.
Sir, my Lord the Duke of Buckingham and Earl of Hereford, Stafford and Northampton, I arrest thee of high treason in the name of our most sovereign king.
Lord you, my lord, the net has fallen upon me. I shall perish under the vice and practice.
I'm sorry to see you taken from liberty to look on the business present. 'Tis his highness' pleasure you shall to the Tower.
It will help me nothing to plead mine innocence, for that dye is on me which makes my white spot black. The will of heaven be done in this and all things. I obey. Oh, my lord, have again me. Fare you well.
Nay, he must bear you company. The king is pleased you shall to the Tower till you know how he determines further.
As the Duke said, the will of heaven be done, and the king's pleasure by me obeyed.
Here is a warrant from the king to attach Lord Montacute and the bodies of the Duke's confessor, John de la Carr, one Gilbert Park, his chancellor.
So, these are the limbs of the plot. No more, I hope.
A monk of the Chartreux.
Oh, Nicholas Hopkins.
He.
My surveyor is false. The o'er-great cardinal hath showed him gold. My life is spanned already. I am the shadow of poor Buckingham, whose figure he in this instant cloud puts on by darkening my clear sun. My lord, farewell.
1-2, London, the Council Chamber.
My life itself, and the best heart of it, thank you for this great care. I stood at the level of a full charge confederacy, and give thanks to you that choked it. Let me call before us that gentleman of Buckingham's. In person, I'll hear him his confessions justify, and point by point, the treasons of his master he shall again relate.
Room for the Queen! Room for the Queen!
Nay, we must longer kneel. I am a suitor.
Arise. And take place by us. Half your suit never named to us, so you have half our power. The other moiety ere you ask is given. Repeat your will and take it.
Thank your majesty. That you would love yourself, and in that love not unconsidered leave your honour nor the dignity of your office, is the point of my petition.
Lady mine, proceed.
I am solicited, not by a few, and those of true condition, that your subjects are in great grievance. There have been commissions sent down among them, which hath flawed the heart of all their loyalties, wherein, although, my good Lord Cardinal, they vent reproaches most bitterly on you as putter on of these exactions, yet the king our master, whose honour heaven shield from soil, even he escapes not language unmannerly, yea, such which breaks the sides of loyalty, and almost appears in loud rebellion.
Not almost appears, it doth appear. For upon these taxations, the clothiers all, not able to maintain the many to them longing, have put off the spinsters, carders, fullers, weavers who unfit for other life, compelled by hunger and lack of other means in desperate manner, daring the event to the teeth are all in uproar, and danger serves among them.
Taxation. Wherein and what taxation? My Lord Cardinal, you that are blamed for it alike with us, know you of this taxation?
Please you, sir, I know but of a single part in aught pertains to the state, and front but in that file where other tell steps with me.
No, my lord, you know no more than others. But you frame things that are known alike, which are not wholesome to those which would not know them, and yet must perforce be their acquaintance. These exactions, whereof my sovereign would have note, they are most pestilent to the hearing, and to bear 'em, the back is sacrificed to the load. They say they are devised by you.
Still exaction, the nature of it, and what kind, let's know, is this exaction?
I am too venturous in tempting of your patience, but am boldened under your promised pardon. The subject's grief comes through commissions, which compels from each the 6th part of his substance to be levied without delay. And the pretense for this is named your wars in France. This makes bold mouths, tongues spit their duties out, and cold hearts freeze allegiance in them. Their curses now live where their prayers did. And it's come to pass this tractable obedience is a slave to each insensate will. I would, your highness, would give it quick consideration, for there is no primer baseness.
By my life, this is against our pleasure.
And for me, I have no further gone in this than a single voice, and that not past me, but by learned approbation of the judges. If I am traduced by ignorant tongues, which neither know my faculties nor person, yet will be chronicles of my doing, let me say 'tis but the fate of place and the rough break that virtue must go through. If we shall stand still in fear, our motion will be mocked and carped at. We should take root here where we sit, or sit state statues only.
Things done well and with a care exempt themselves from fear. Things done without example in their issue are to be feared. Have you set a precedent to this commission? I believe not any. We must not rend our subjects from our laws and stick them in our will. 6th part of each. Trembling contribution. Why, we take from every tree, lop, bark, and part of the timber, and though we leave it with a root thus hacked, the air will drink the sap. To every county where this is questioned, send our letters with free pardon to each man that has denied the force of this commission. Pray look to it, I put it to your care.
A word with you. Let there be letters writ to every shire of the king's grace and pardon. The grieved commons hardly conceive of me. Let it be noised that through our intercession this revokement and pardon comes. I shall anon advise you further in the proceeding.
I am sorry that the Duke of Buckingham is run in your displeasure.
It grieves many. The gentleman is learned and a most rare speaker, to nature none more bound. His training such that he may furnish and instruct great teachers, and never seek for aid out of himself. Yet see, when these so noble benefits shall prove not well disposed, the mind growing once corrupt, they turn to vicious forms, 10 times more ugly than ever they were fair. This man, so complete, hath into monstrous habits put the graces that once were his, that has become as black as if besmeared in hell. Sit by us, and you shall hear, this was his gentleman in trust, of him things to strike honour sad. Bid him recount the foresighted practices whereof we cannot feel too little, hear too much.
Stand forth, and with bold spirit relate what you, most like a careful subject, have collected out of the Duke of Buckingham.
Speak freely.
Thy lips do move, and yet we hear thee not. Speak up, surveyor.
First, it was usual with him. Every day it would infect his speech that if the king should without issue die, he'll carry it so to make the scepter his. These very words I've heard him utter to his son-in-law, Lord Abergany, to whom by oath he menaced revenge upon the Cardinal.
Please your highness note this dangerous conception in this point, not friended by his wish, to your high person. His will is most malignant, and it stretches beyond you to your friends.
My learned Lord Cardinal, deliver all with charity.
Speak on. How grounded he his title to the crown upon our fail? To this point, hast thou heard him at any time speak aught?
He was brought to this by a vain prophecy of Nicholas Hopkins.
What was that Hopkins?
Sir, a Chartreux friar, his confessor, who fed him every minute with words of sovereignty.
How knowest thou this?
Not long before your highness sped to France, the Duke, being at the Rose within the parish St. Lord's Pulteney, did of me demand what was the speech among the Londoners concerning the French journey. I replied, men fear the French would prove perfidious to the king's danger. Presently, the Duke said, 'twas fear indeed, and that he doubted 'twould prove the verity of certain words, spoke by a holy monk, that neither the king's nor sirs, tell you the Duke, shall prosper. Bid him strive to gain the love of the commonalty. The Duke shall govern England.
If I know you well, you were the Duke's surveyor and lost your office on the complaint of the tenants. Take good heed you charge not in your spleen a noble person and spoil your nobler soul. I say take heed, yes, heartily beseech you.
Let him on. Go forward.
On my soul, I'll speak but truth. I told my lord, the Duke, by the devil's illusions the monk might be deceived, and that 'twas dangerous for him to ruminate on this so far until it forged him some design, which being believed, it was much like to do. He answered, tush, it can do me no damage, adding further that the king in his last sickness failed the cardinals and Sir Thomas Lovell's heads should have gone off.
Ha! What's so rank? Ah, there's mischief in this man. Canst thou say further?
I can, my liege.
Proceed!
Being at Greenwich, after your highness had reproved the Duke about Sir William Bulmer.
I remember of such a time. Being my sworn servant, the Duke retained him his. But on, what hence?
If, quoth he, I for this had been committed as to the Tower, I thought, I would have played the part my father meant to act upon, the usurper Richard, who, being at Salisbury, made suit to Commons' presence, which, if granted, as he made semblance of his duty, would have put his knife into him.
Giant traitor!
Now, madam, may his highness live in freedom and this man out of prison.
God mend all.
There's something more would out of thee. What sayst?
After the Duke his father, with the knife, he stretched him, and with one hand on his dagger, another spreads on's breast, mounting his eyes, he did discharge a horrible oath, whose tenor was, were he evil used, would outgo his father by as much as a performance does an irresolute purpose.
There's his period, to sheath his knife in us. He is attached. Call him to present trial. If he may find mercy in the law, 'tis his. If none, let him not seek of us. By day and night he's traitor to the height.
1-3, London, the Palace.
What news, Sir Thomas Lovell?
Faith, my lord, I hear of none but the new proclamation that's clapped upon the court gate.
What is it for?
The reformation of our travelled gallants that fill the court with quarrels, talks, and tailors.
I'm glad 'tis there. Now I would pray our monsieurs to think an English courtier may be wise and never see the Louvre.
They must either, for so run the conditions, leave those remnants of fool and feather that they got in France, with all their honourable points of ignorance pertaining thereunto, as fights and fireworks, abusing better men than they can be out of a foreign wisdom, renouncing clean the faith they have in tennis and tall stockings, and understand again like honest men, or pack to their old playfellows.
'Tis time to give 'em physic. Their diseases are grown so catching.
What a loss our ladies will have of these trim vanities.
Ay, marry, there will be woe indeed, lords. The slight whoresons have got a speeding trick to lay down ladies. A French song and a fiddle has no fellow.
The devil fiddle 'em. I am glad they are going, for sure there's no converting of 'em. Now, an honest country lord, as I am, beaten a long time at a play, may bring his plain song and have an hour of hearing, and by Our Lady held current music too.
Sir Thomas, whither were you a-going?
To the Cardinal's. Your lordship is guest too.
Oh, 'tis true. The night he makes a supper, and a great one. To many lords and ladies there will be the beauty of this kingdom, I'll assure you.
That churchman bears a bounteous mind indeed, a hand as fruitful as the land that feeds us. His dews fall everywhere.
No doubt he's noble. He had a black mouth that said other of him.
He may, my lord, has wherewithal. In him, sparing would show a worse sin than ill doctrine. Men of his way should be most liberal. They are set here for examples.
True, they are so, but few now give so great ones. My barge stays. Your lordship shall along. Come, good Sir Thomas, we shall be late else, which I would not be, for I was spoke to with Sir Henry Guilford this night to be controllers.
I am your lordships.
1-4, London, York Place.
Ladies, a general welcome from His Grace salutes ye all. This night he dedicates to fair content and you. None, he hopes, in all his noble bevy has brought with her one care abroad. He would have all as merry, as first, good company, good wine, good welcome can make good people. Oh, my lord, you're tardy. The very thought of this fair company clapped wings to me.
You are young, Sir Harry Guilford.
By my life, they are a sweet society of fair ones.
Oh, that your lordship were now but confessor to one or two of these.
I would I were. They should find easy penance.
Faith, how easy.
How easy as a down bed would afford it.
Sweet ladies, will it please you sit? Sir Harry, please you that side, I'll take charge of this. His Grace is entering. Nay, you must not freeze. 2 women placed together make cold weather. My Lord Sands, you are one will keep him waking. Pray, sit between these ladies.
By my faith, and thank your lordship. By your leave, sweet ladies, if I chance to talk a little wild, forgive me. I had it from my father.
Was he mad, sir?
Oh, very mad, exceeding mad, in love too. But he would bite none. Just as I do now, he would kiss you 20 with a breath.
Well said, my lord. So now you're fairly seated. Gentlemen, the penance lies on you if these fair ladies pass away frowning.
For my little cure, let me alone.
You're welcome, my fair guests.
Hey!
That noble lady or gentleman that is not freely merry is not my friend. This to confirm my welcome and to you all good health. Hey!
Your grace is noble. Let me have such a bowl may hold my thanks, and save me so much talking.
My Lord Sands, I am beholden to you. Cheer your neighbours. Ladies, you are not merry. Gentlemen, whose fault is this?
The red wine first must rise in their fair cheeks, my lord. Then we shall have 'em talk us to silence.
You are a merry gamester, my Lord Sands.
Yes, if I make my play. Here's to your ladyship, and pledge it, madam, for 'tis to such a thing.
You cannot show me.
I told your grace they would talk anon.
What's that?
Look out there, some of you.
What warlike voice, and to what end is this? Nay, ladies, fear not. By all the laws of war, you're privileged.
How now? What was it?
A noble troop of strangers, for so they seem. They've left their barge and landed, and hither make as great ambassadors from foreign princes.
Good Lord Chamberlain, go give 'em welcome. You can speak the French tongue. And pray receive 'em nobly and conduct 'em into our presence, where this heaven of beauty shall shine at full upon 'em. Some attend him. You have now a broken banquet, but we'll mend it. A good digestion to you all, and once more I shower a welcome on you. Welcome all. A noble company. What are their pleasures?
Because they speak no English, thus they pray to tell your grace that having heard by fame of this so noble and fair assembly, this night to meet here, they could do no less, out of the great respect they bear to beauty, but leave their flocks and under your fair conduct, crave leave to view these ladies, and entreat an hour of revels with them.
Say, Lord Chamberlain, they have done my poor house grace, for which I pay 'em 1,000 thanks, and pray them take their pleasures.
Fairest hand I ever touched. O beauty, till now I never knew thee.
My lord,
Your grace?
pray tell 'em thus much from me. There should be one amongst 'em by his person more worthy his place than myself, to whom, if I but knew him, with my love and duty, I would surrender it.
I will, my lord.
What say they?
Such a one they all confess there is indeed, which they would have your grace find out, and he will take it.
Let me see then. By all your good leaves, gentlemen, here, I'll make my royal choice.
You have found him, Cardinal. You hold a fair assembly. You do well, Lord. You are a churchman, or I'll tell you, Cardinal, I should judge now unhappily.
I am glad your grace is grown so pleasant.
My Lord Chamberlain, prithee come hither. What fair lady's that?
And please your grace, Sir Thomas Bullen's daughter, the Viscount Rochford, one of her highness's women?
By heaven, she is a dainty one. Sweetheart, I were unmannerly to take you out and not to kiss you. A health, gentlemen. Let it go round.
Sir Thomas Lovell, is the banquet ready in the privy chamber?
Yes, my lord.
Your grace, I fear with dancing is a little heated.
I fear too much.
There's fresher air, my lord, in the next chamber.
Lead in your ladies, everyone. Sweet partner, I must not yet forsake you. Let's be merry. Good my Lord Cardinal, I have half a dozen healths to drink to these fair ladies, and a measure to lead them once again. And then, let's dream who's best in favour. Let the music knock it!
2-1, Westminster, a street.
No way so fast.
Oh, God save ye, even to the hall to hear what shall become of the great Duke of Buckingham.
I'll save you that labour, sir. All's now done but the ceremony of bringing back the prisoner.
Were you there?
Yes, indeed was I.
Pray speak. What's happened?
You may guess quickly what.
Is he found guilty?
Yes, truly is he, and condemned upon it.
I am sorry for it.
So are a number more.
But pray, how passed it?
I'll tell you in a little. The great Duke came to the bar, where to his accusations he pleaded still not guilty, and alleged many sharp reasons to defeat the law. The king's attorney, on the contrary, urged on the examinations, proofs, confessions of divers witnesses, which the Duke desired to him brought viva voce to his face, at which appeared against him his surveyor, Sir Gilbert Park, his chancellor, and John Carr, confessor to him, with that devil monk, Hopkins, that made the mischief.
That was he that fed him his prophecies.
The same. All these accused him strongly, which he fain would have flung from him, but indeed he could not. And so his peers upon this evidence have found him guilty of high treason. Much he spoke and learnedly for life, but all was either pitied in him or forgotten.
After all this, how did he bear himself? I do not think he fears death.
Sure he does not. He never was so womanish. The cause he may a little grieve at.
Certainly the Cardinal is the end of this.
'Tis likely. And generally, whoever the king favours, the Cardinal instantly will find employment, and far enough from court too.
All the commons hate him perniciously, and oh my conscience, wisdom 10 fathom deep. This Duke, as much as they love and dote on, call him bounteous Buckingham, the mirror of all courtesy.
Who stay there, sir, and see the noble man we speak of.
Let's stand close and behold him.
All good people, you that thus far have come to pity me, hear what I say, and then go home and lose me. I have this day received a traitor's judgment, and by that name must die. Yet, heaven bear witness, and if I have a conscience, let it sink me, e'en as the axe falls, if I be not faithful. The law I bear no malice for my death. 'Tis done upon the premises but justice. But those that sought it, I could wish more Christians. Be what they will, I heartily forgive them. Yet let them look they glory not in mischief, nor build their evils on the graves of great men. For then my guiltless blood must cry against them. for further life in this world I ne'er hope, nor will I sue. Although the king have mercies more than I dare make faults. You few that loved me, and dare be bold to weep for Buckingham, go with me like good angels to my end. And as the long divorce of steel falls on me, make of your prayers one sweet sacrifice, and lift my soul to heaven. Lead on in God's name.
I do beseech your grace for charity, if ever any malice in your heart were hid against me, now to forgive me frankly.
Oh, Sir Thomas Lovell, I as free forgive you as I would be forgiven. I forgive all. There cannot be those numberless offences against me that I cannot take peace with. No black envy shall make my grave. Commend me to his grace. And if he speak of Buckingham, pray tell him you met him half in heaven. My vows and prayers yet are the king's, until my soul forsake shall cry for blessings on him.
To the waterside I must conduct your grace, then give up my charge to Sir Nicholas Vaux, who undertakes you to your end.
Prepare there, the Duke is coming. See the barge be ready and fitted with such furniture as suits the greatness of his person.
Hey, Sir Nicholas, let it alone. My state now will but mock me. When I came hither, I was Lord High Constable and Duke of Buckingham. Now, poor Edward Bone. Yet I am richer than my base accusers that never knew what truth meant. I now seal it, and with that blood will one day make 'em groan for it. Heaven has an end in all. All good people, pray for me. I must now forsake ye. The last hour of my long, weary life has come upon me. Farewell. And when you would say something that is sad, speak how I felt. I've done. And God forgive me.
Oh, this is full of pity. Sir, it calls, I fear, too many curses on the heads that were the authors.
If the Duke be guiltless, 'tis full of woe. Yet I can give you an inkling of an ensuing evil if it fall greater than this.
Good angels, keep it from us! What may it be? You do not doubt my faith, sir.
The secret is so weighty, it will require a strong faith to conceal it.
Let me have it. I do not talk much.
I am confident you shall, sir. Did you not of late of days hear a buzzing of separation between the king and Katherine?
Yes, but it held not. For when the king once heard it, out of anger he sent command to the Lord Mayor straight to stop the rumour and allay those tongues that disperse it.
But that slander, sir, is found a truth now, for it grows again fresher than ever it was, and held for certain the king will venture at it. Either the Cardinal or some about him near have out of malice to the good queen possessed him with a scruple that will undo her. To confirm this too, Cardinal Compayers is arrived, and lately, as all think, for this business.
'Tis the Cardinal! And merely to revenge him on the Emperor for not bestowing on him, at his asking, the Archbishopric of Toledo this is purposed.
I think you've hit the mark, but it's not cruel that he should feel the smart of this. The Cardinal will have his will, and she must fall.
'Tis woeful! We are too open here to argue this. Let's think in private more.
(2-2) London, the Palace.
My lord, the horses your lordship sent for, with all the care I had, I saw well chosen, ridden, and furnished. They were young and handsome, and of the best breed in the north. When they were ready to set out for London, a man of my lord Cardinal's, by commission and main power, took 'em from me, With this reason, his master would be served before a subject, if not before the king, which stopped our mouths, sir. I fear he will indeed, well, let him have them. He will have all, I think.
Thy lips do move, but I hear you not.
Your pardon, my grace. Well met, my Lord Chamberlain.
Good day to you both, your graces.
How is the king employed?
I left him in private, full of sad thoughts and troubles.
What's the cause?
It seems the marriage with his brother's wife has crept too near his conscience.
No, his conscience has crept too near another lady.
'Tis so. This is the Cardinal's doing. The King Cardinal. That blind priest, like the eldest son of fortune, turns what he list. The king will know him one day.
Pray God he do. He'll never know himself else.
How holily he works in all his business, and with what zeal, for now he has cracked the league between us and the Emperor, the Queen's great nephew. He dives into the king's soul and there scatters dangers, doubts, wringing of the conscience, fears, and despairs on all these for his marriage. And out of all these, to restore the king, he counsels a divorce. A loss of her that like a jewel has hung 20 years about his neck, yet never lost her luster. Of her that loves him with an excellence that angels love good men.
Heaven will one day open the king's eyes that so long have slept upon this bold, bad man.
And free us from his slavery.
Oh, we had need, pray, and heartily for our deliverance, or this imperious man will work us all from princes into pages.
For me, my lords, I love him not, nor fear him, there's my creed. As I am made without him, so I'll stand, if the king please. His curses and his blessings touch me alike. Their breath I not believe them. I knew him, and I know him, so I leave him to him that made him proud, the Pope.
Let's in, and with some other business puts the king from these sad thoughts that work too much upon him. My lord, will you bear us company?
Excuse me, the king has sent me otherwise. Besides, you'll find a most unfit time to disturb him. Health to your lordships.
Thanks, my good Lord Chamberlain.
How sad he looks. Sure he is much afflicted.
Who's there? Huh?
Pray God he be not angry.
Who's there, I say? How dare you thrust yourselves into my private meditations? Who am I? Huh?
A gracious king that pardons all offences, malice ne'er meant. Our breach of duty this way is business of estate, in which we come to know your royal pleasure.
You are too bold. Go to, I'll make you known your times of business. Is this an hour for temporal affairs? Huh? Who's there? My good Lord Cardinal. Oh, my Wolsey, the quiet of my wounded conscience, thou art a cure fit for a king. You're welcome, most learned, reverend sir, into our kingdom. Use us and it. My good lord, have great care I be not found a talker.
Sir, you cannot. I would your grace would give us but an hour of private conference.
We are busy. Go.
Priest has no pride in him.
Not to speak of. I would not be so sick though for his place, but this cannot continue.
If it do, I'll venture one have at him.
I another.
Your grace has given a precedent of wisdom above all princes in committing freely your scruple to the voice of Christendom. Who can be angry now? What envy reach ye? The Spaniard, tied by blood and favour to her, must now confess, if they have any goodness, the trial just and noble. All the clerks have their free voices. Rome, the nurse of judgment, invited by your noble self, hath sent one general tongue unto us, this good man, this just and learned priest, Cardinal Campeius, whom once more I present unto your highness.
And once more in mine arms I bid him welcome.
Your grace must needs deserves all strangers' loves. You are so noble to your highness' hand. I tender my commission, by whose virtue the court of Rome commanding you, my lord Cardinal of York, are joined with me, their servant, in the impartial judging of this business.
2 equal men. The Queen shall be acquainted forthwith for what you come. Where's Gardiner?
I know your majesty has always loved her so dear in heart, not to deny her that a woman of less place might ask by law. Scholars allowed freely to argue for her.
Aye, and the best she shall have, and my favour to him that does best. God forbid else. Cardinal, prithee call Gardiner to me, my new secretary. I find him a fit fellow.
Give me your hand. Much joy and favour to you. You are the king's now.
But to be commanded forever by your grace, whose hand has raised me.
Come hither, Gardiner.
My lord of York, was not one Dr. Pace in this man's place before him?
Yes, he was.
Believe me, there's an ill opinion spread then, even of yourself, Lord Cardinal.
How? Of me?
They say you envied him, and fearful of his rise, for he was virtuous, kept him a foreign man, which so grieved him that he ran mad and died.
He was a fool, for he would needs be virtuous. That good fellow, if I command him, follows my appointment. I will have none so near else. Learn this, brother. We live not to be griped by meaner persons.
Deliver this with modesty to the Queen. The most convenient place that I can think of for such receipt of learning is Blackfriars. There you shall meet about this weighty business. My Wolsey, see it furnished. Oh, my lord, would it not grieve an able man to leave so sweet a bedfellow, but conscience, 'tis a tender place, and I must leave her.
To 3, London, the Queen Catherine's apartments.
Not for that neither. Here's the pang that pinches. His Highness, having lived so long with her, and she so good a lady that no tongue could ever pronounce dishonor of her, by my life, she never knew harm doing. Oh, now after so many courses of the sun enthroned, still growing in majesty and pomp, the which to leave 1,000-fold more bitter than 'tis sweet at first acquire. After this process, to give her the avant, it is a pity that would move a monster.
Alas, poor lady, she's a stranger now again.
So much the more must pity draw upon her. Verily, I swear, 'tis better to be lowly born and range with humble livers in content than to be perked up in glistering grief and wear a golden sorrow.
Our content is our best having.
By my troth and maidenhead, I would not be a queen.
Beshrew me, I would, and venture maidenhead for it. And so would you, for all this spice of your hypocrisy. You that have so fair parts of woman on you, have too a woman's heart which ever yet affected eminence, wealth, sovereignty, which, to say sooth, are blessings, and which gifts, saving your mincing, the capacity of your soft cheverel conscience would receive if you might please to.
Nay, good the troth.
Yes, troth and troth. You would not be a queen?
No, not for all the riches under heaven.
'Tis strange. A threepence bound would hire me, old as I am, to queen it. But I pray you, what think you of a duchess? Have you limbs to bear that load of title?
No, in truth.
Oh, then you're a weakly maid. Pluck off a little. I would not be a young count in your way for more than blushing comes to. If your back cannot vouchsafe this burden, 'tis too weak to ever get a boy.
How you do talk! I swear again, I would not be a queen for all the world.
In faith, for little England, you venture at embawling. I myself would for Carmarthenshire, although they'd long no more to the crown but that. Oh, no, who comes here?
Good morrow, ladies. What word worth to know the secret of your conference?
My good lord, not your demand. It values not your asking. Our mistress's sorrows we were pitying.
It was a gentle business and becoming the action of good women. There is hope all will be well.
Now I pray God, amen.
You bear a gentle mind, and heavenly blessings follow such creatures. That you may, fair lady, perceive I speak sincerely, and high notes ta'en of your many virtues, the king's majesty commends his good opinion of you to you, and does purpose honor to you no less flowing than Marchioness of Pembroke. To which title £1,000 a year annual support out of his grace, he adds.
I do not know what kind of my obedience I should tender. More than my all is nothing, nor my prayers are not words duly hallowed, nor my wishes more worth than empty vanities, yet prayers and wishes are all I can return. Beseech your lordship, vouchsafe to speak my thanks and my obedience, as from a blushing handmaid to his highness, whose health and royalty I pray for.
Lady, I shall not fail to approve the fair conceit the king hath of you. I have perused her well. Beauty and honor in her are so mingled that they have caught the king. And who knows yet, but from this lady may proceed a gem to lighten all the isle. I'll to the king and say I spoke with you.
My honored lord.
Why, this is it. See. I have been begging 16 years here in court, am yet a courtier beggarly, nor could come packed betwixt too early and too late for any suit of pounds. And you, oh fate, a very fresh fish here. Fie upon this compelled fortune. Have your mouth filled up before you open it.
This is strange to me.
How tastes it? Is bitter? 40 pence, no. There was a lady once, 'tis an old story, that would not be a queen, that she would not, for all the mud in Egypt. Have you heard it?
Come, you are pleasant.
With your theme, I could all mount the lark. The Marchioness of Pembroke, £1,000 a year for pure respect. No other obligation. By my life, I know your back will bear a duchess. Say, are you not stronger than you were?
Good lady, make yourself mirth with your particular fancy and leave me out on it. Would I had no being if this salute my blood a jot, it faints me to think what follows. The queen is comfortless and we forgetful in our long absence. Pray, do not deliver here what ye have heard here to her.
What do you think, me?
To 4, London, Blackfriars.
Whilst our commission from Rome is read, let silence be commanded.
What's the need? It hath already publicly been read, and on all sides the authority allowed. You may then spare that time.
Be it so. Proceed.
Say, Henry, King of England, come into the court.
Henry, King of England, come into the court.
Here.
Say, Katherine, Queen of England, come into the court.
Katherine, Queen of England, come into the court.
Sir, I desire you do me right and justice, and to bestow your pity on me. For I am a most poor woman and a stranger, born out of your dominions, having here no judge indifferent, nor no more assurance of equal friendship and proceeding. Alas, sir, in what have I offended you? What cause hath my behaviour given to your displeasure, that thus you should proceed to put me off and take your good grace from me? Heaven witness, I have been to you a true and humble wife, at all times to your will conformable, ever in fear to kindle your dislike, yea, subject to your countenance, glad or sorry, as I saw it inclined. Sir, call to mind that I have been your wife in this obedience upward of 20 years, and have been blessed with many children by you. If in the course and process of this time you can report and prove it too against mine honour aught, turn me away, and let the foulest contempt shut door upon me, and so give me up to the sharpest kind of justice. Please you, sir, the king your father was reputed for a prince of most prudent judgment. Ferdinand, my father, king of Spain, was reckoned one the wisest prince that there had reigned by many a year before. It is not to be questioned that they had gathered a wise council to them of every realm that did debate this business, who deemed our marriage lawful. Wherefore I humbly beseech you, sir, to spare me, till I may be by my friends in Spain advised, whose counsel I will implore. If not, in the name of God, your pleasure be fulfilled.
You have here, lady, and of your choice, these reverend fathers, men of singular integrity and learning, yea, the elect of the land who assembled to plead your cause.
Lord Cardinal, to you I speak.
Your pleasure, madam.
Sir, I am about to weep, but thinking that we are a queen, or long have dreamed so, certain, the daughter of a king, my drops of tears I'll turn to sparks of fire.
Be patient yet.
I will when you are humble, nay, before, or God will punish me. I do believe, induced by potent circumstances, that you are mine enemy, and make my challenge, you shall not be my judge. For it is you have blown this coal betwixt my lord and me, which gods do quench. Therefore, I say again, I utterly abhor, yea, from my soul, refuse you for my judge, whom yet once more I hold my most malicious foe, and think not at all a friend to truth.
I do profess you speak not like yourself, who ever yet have stood to charity and displayed the effects of disposition gentle, and of wisdom o'ertopping woman's power. Madam, you do me wrong. I have no spleen against you, nor injustice for you or any. How far I have proceeded, or how far further shall, is warranted by a commission from the consistory, yea, the whole consistory of Rome. You charge me that I have blown this coal. I do deny it. The king is present. If it be known to him that I gainsay my deed, how may he wound, and worthily, my falsehood? Yea, as much as you have done, my truth. If he knows that I am free of your report, he knows I am not of your wrong.
My lord, I am a simple woman, much too weak to oppose your cunning. You're meek and humble-mouthed. You sign your place and calling in full seeming with meekness and humility, but your heart is crammed with arrogancy, spleen, and pride. You have, by fortune and his highness' favours, gone slightly o'er lower steps, and now are mounted where powers are your retainers, and your words, domestics to you, serve your will as't please yourself pronounce their office. I must tell you, you tender more your person's honour than your high profession spiritual, that again, I do refuse you for my judge, and here, before you all, appeal unto the Pope to bring my whole cause for his holiness, and to be judged by him.
Well, the Queen is obstinate, stubborn to justice, and apt to accuse it, and disdainful to be tried by it. 'Tis not well. She's going away.
Call her again.
Katherine, Queen of England, come into the court.
Madam, you were called back.
What need you note it? Pray you, keep your way. When you are called, return. Now the Lord help. They vex me past my patience. Pray you, pass on. I will not tarry, no, nor evermore upon this business my appearance make in any of their courts.
Go thy ways, Kate. That man in the world who shall report he has a better wife, let him in naught be trusted for speaking false in that. Thou art alone in thy rare qualities, sweet gentleness, thy meekness, saint-like, wife-like government, obeying in commanding, and thy part sovereign and pious, else could speak thee out, the queen of earthly queens. She's noble born, and like a true nobility she has carried herself towards me.
Most gracious sir, in humblest manner I require your highness, that it shall please you, to declare in hearing of all these ears whether ever I did broach this business to your highness, or laid any scruple in your way which might induce you to the question on't, or ever have to you, but with thanks to God for such a royal lady, spake one least word that might to the prejudice of her present state or touch of her good person.
My Lord Cardinal, I do excuse you. Yea, upon mine honour I free you from't. You are not to be taught that you have many enemies, that know not why they are so, but like to village curs, bark when their fellows do. By some of these the Queen is put in anger. Ye are excused, but will you be more justified? I wish sleeping of this business, never desired it to be stirred, but oft have hindered, oft the passages made toward it. On my honour, I speak, my good Lord Cardinal, to this point, and thus far clear him. Now, what moved me to it? I will be bold with time and your attention. My conscience first received a tenderness, scruple, and prick on certain speeches uttered by the Bishop of Bayonne, then French ambassador, who had been hither sent on the debating a marriage twixt the Duke of Orleans and our daughter Mary. In the progress of this business, ere resolution, he required a respite, wherein he might the king his lord advertise whether our daughter were legitimate. Respecting this our marriage with the dowager, sometime our brother's wife. This respite shook the bosom of my conscience, entered me, yea, with a spitting power, and made to tremble the region of my breast, which forced such way that many mazed considerings did throng, and pressed him with this caution. First, methought I stood not in the smile of heaven, who had commanded nature that my lady's womb, if it conceived a male child by me, should do no more offices of life to it than the grave does to the dead. For her male issue all died where they were made, or shortly after this world had aired them. Hence, I took a thought this was a judgment on me, that my kingdom, well worthy the best heir of the world, should not be gladded in by me. Then follows that I weigh the danger which my realm stood in by this my issues fail. And that gave to me many a groaning throe. Thus hulling in the wild sea of my conscience, I did steer towards this remedy, whereupon we are now present here together. That's to say, I meant to rectify my conscience, which I then did feel full sick, and yet not well, by all the reverend fathers of the land and doctors learned. First, I began in private with you, my Lord of Lincoln. You remember how under my oppression I did wreak when I first moved you.
Very well, my liege.
I have spoke long. Be pleased yourself to say how far you satisfied me.
So please, your highness. The question did at first so stagger me, bearing a state of mighty moment in it and consequence of dread, that I committed the daringest counsel which I had to doubt, and did entreat your honour to this course which you are running here.
I then moved you, my Lord of Canterbury, and got your leave to make this present summons. Unsolicited, I left no reverend person in this court, but by particular consent proceeded under your hands and seals. Therefore go on, for no dislike in the world against the person of the good queen, but the sharp thorny points of my alleged reasons drives this forward. Prove but our marriage lawful, by my life and kingly dignity we are contented to wear our mortal state to come with her, Katherine our queen, before the primest creature that's paragoned of the world.
So please, your highness, the queen being absent, 'tis a needful fitness that we adjourn this court until further day. And meanwhile, must be an earnest motion made to the queen to pull back her appeal she intends unto his holiness.
I may perceive these cardinals trifle with me. I abhor this dilatory sloth and tricks of Rome. My learned and well-beloved servant, Cranmer, prithee return. With thy approach, I know my comfort comes along. Break up the court, I say, set on.
3-1, London, Queen Catherine's apartments.
Take thy lute, wench. My soul grows sad with troubles. Sing and disperse them if you canst. Leave working.
Orpheus with his lute made trees, and the mountain tops that freeze, bowed themselves when he did sing to his music, plants and flowers ever sprung. As sun and showers there had made a lasting spring. Everything that heard him play, even the billows of the sea, hung their heads and then lay by. In sweet music, in such art, killing care and grief of heart, fall asleep or hearing die.
How now?
And it please your grace, the two great cardinals wait in the presence.
Would they speak with me?
They willed me say so, madam.
Pray their graces to come near. What can be their business with me, a poor and weak woman fallen from favour? I do not like their coming.
Peace to your highness.
Your graces find me here, part of a housewife, I would be all, against the worst may happen. What are your pleasures with me, reverend lords?
May it please you, noble madam, to withdraw into your private chamber. We shall give you the full cause of our coming.
Speak it here. There is nothing I have done yet, or my conscience deserves a corner. If your business seek me out, and that way I am wife in, out with it boldly. Truth loves open dealing.
Tanta est erga te mentis integritas, Regina serenissima.
Oh, good, my lord, no Latin. I am not such a truant since my coming as to not know the language I have lived in. The willingest sin I ever yet committed may be absolved in English.
Noble lady, I am sorry my integrity should breed, and service to his majesty and you, so deep suspicion where all faith was meant. We come not by the way of accusation to taint that honour every good tongue blesses. You have too much, good lady, but to know how you stand minded in the weighty difference between the king and you, and to deliver, like free and honest men, our just opinions and comforts to your cause.
Most honoured madam, my Lord of York, out of his noble nature, zeal and obedience, he still bore your grace, forgetting, like a good man, your late censure, of his truth and him, which was too far, offers, as I do, in a sign of peace, his service and his counsel.
To betray me. My lords, I thank you both for your good wills. Ye speak like honest men. Pray God ye prove so. But how to make ye suddenly an answer in such a point of weight, so near mine honour, and to such men of gravity and learning, in truth I know not. I was set at work among my maids, full little, God knows, looking either for such men or such business. Let me have time and soul for my cause. Alas, I am a woman, friendless, hopeless.
Madam, you wrong the king's love with these fears. Your hopes and friends are infinite.
In England, but little for my profit. Can you think, lords, that any Englishman dare give me counsel, or be a known friend, 'gainst his highness's pleasure, and live a subject? Nay, forsooth, my friends, they that must weigh out my afflictions, they that my trust must grow to, live not here, but in mine own country, lords.
I would your grace would leave your griefs and take my counsel.
How, sir?
Put your main cause into the king's protection. He's loving and most gracious. 'Twill be much both for your honour better and your cause. For if the trial of law o'ertake you, you'll part away disgraced.
He tells you rightly.
You tell me what you wish for both. My ruin. Is this your Christian counsel? Out upon ye. Heaven is above all yet. There sits a judge that no king can corrupt.
Your rage mistakes us.
The more shame for ye. Holy men, I thought ye, upon my soul, two reverend cardinal virtues, but cardinal sins and hollow hearts I fear ye. Mend them for shame, my lords. Is this your comfort? The cordial that you bring a wretched lady, a woman, lost among you, laughed at, scorned? I will not wish ye half my miseries. I have more charity. But say I warned you, take heed, for heaven's sake, take heed, lest at once the burden of my sorrows fall upon you.
Madam, this is a mere distraction. You turn the good we offer into envy.
You turn me into nothing. Woe upon you, and all such false professors. Would you have me put my sick cause into his hands that hates me? Alas, has banished me his bed already, his love too long ago. I am old, my lords, and all the fellowship I hold now with him is only my obedience. What can happen to me above this wretchedness?
Your fears are worse.
Have I lived thus long a wife, a true one, a woman, I dare say, without vainglory, never yet branded with suspicion? Have I, with all my full affections, still met the king, loved him next heaven, obeyed him, been out of fondness superstitious to him, almost forgot my prayers to content him? And am I thus rewarded? 'Tis not well, lords. Would I had never trod this English earth or felt the flatteries that grow upon it. Ye have angels' faces, but heaven knows your hearts. What will become of me now, wretched lady? I am the most unhappy woman living.
For goodness sake, consider what you do, how you may hurt yourself. Aye, utterly grow from the king's acquaintance by this carriage. The hearts of princes kiss obedience, so much they love it. But to stubborn souls, they swell and grow, as terrible as storms.
Madam, you'll find it so. You wrong your virtues with these weak women's fears. A noble spirit as yours was put into you. Never cast such doubts as false coins from it. The king loves you. Beware you lose it not. For us, if you please to trust in our business, we are ready to use our utmost studies in your service.
Do what ye will, my lords, and pray forgive me if I have used myself unmannerly. You know I am a woman, lacking wit to make a seemly answer to such persons. Pray do my service to his majesty. He has my heart yet, and shall have my prayers, while I shall have my life. Come, reverend fathers, bestow your counsels on me. She now begs that little thought. When she set footing here, she should have bought her dignities so dear.
3-2, London, Henry VIII's apartments.
If you will now unite in your complaints and force them with a constancy, the Cardinal cannot stand under them.
I am joyful to meet the least occasion that may give me remembrance of my father-in-law the Duke, to be revenged on him.
Which of the peers have uncontemned gone by him, or at least strangely neglected?
If you cannot bar his access to the king, never attempt anything on him, for he hath a witchcraft over the king in his tongue.
Fear him not, fear him not. His spell in that is out. The king hath found matter against him that forever mars the honey of his language. This is true. In the divorce, his contrary proceedings are all unfolded, wherein he appears as I would wish mine enemy.
How came his practices to light?
Most strangely.
How? How?
The Cardinal's letters to the Pope miscarried and came to the eye of the king, wherein was read how that the Cardinal did entreat his Holiness to stay the judgment of the divorce. For if it did take place, adieu, quoth he, perceive my king is tangled in affection to a creature of the Queen's, Lady Anne Bullen.
Has the king this?
Believe it.
Will it work?
The king in this perceives him, how he coasts and hedges his own way. But in this point, all his tricks founder, and he brings his physic after his patient's death. The king already hath married the fair lady.
Would he had?
May you be happy in your wish, my lord, for I profess you have it.
Now all my joy trace the conjunction.
I am into it.
All men's.
There's order given for a coronation. Marry, this is yet but young, and may be left to some years unrecounted. But, my lords, she is a gallant creature, and complete in mind and feature. I persuade me from her will fall some blessing to this land, which shall in it be memorized.
But will the king digest this letter of the Cardinal's? The Lord forbid.
Marry, amen.
No, there be more wasps that buzz about his nose will make this sting the sooner. Cardinal Campeius is stolen away to Rome, hath ta'en no leave, has left the cause of the king unhandled, and is posted as the agent of our cardinal to second all his plot. I do assure you, the king cried, ha, at this.
Now God incense him, and let him cry, ha, louder!
But my lord, when returns Cranmer?
He is returned in his opinions, which have satisfied the king for his divorce, together with all famous collegists almost in Christendom. Shortly, I believe, his second marriage shall be published and her coronation. Katherine no more shall be called a queen, but Princess Dowager and widow to Prince Arthur.
This same Cranmer's a worthy fellow, and hath ta'en much pain in the king's business.
Yes, and we shall see him for it, Archbishop.
So I hear.
Yes, sir. The Cardinal.
Observe, he's moody.
The packet, Cromwell. Gave it you the king?
To his own hand, in his bedchamber.
Looked he at the inside of the paper?
Presently he did unseal them, and the first he viewed, he did it with a serious mind. A heed was in his countenance. You he bade attend him here this morning.
Is he ready to come abroad?
I think by this he is.
Leave me a while. It shall be to the Duchess of Alençon, the French king's sister. He shall marry her. Anne Boleyn? No, I'll know Anne Boleyn's for him. There's more in it than fair visage. Boleyn? No, we'll know Boleyn's. Speedily I wish to hear from Rome. The Marchioness of Pembroke?
He's discontented.
He hears the king does whet his anger to him.
Sharp enough, Lord, for thy justice.
The late Queen's gentlewoman, a knight's daughter, to be her mistress? The Queen's queen? This candle burns not clear. 'Tis I must snuff it. Then out it goes. What, though I know her virtuous and well deserving? Yet I know her for a spleeny Lutheran, and not wholesome to our cause, that she should lie at the bosom of the hard-ruling king. Again, there's sprung up an heretic, an arch one, Cranmer. One hath crawled into the favour of the king, and is his oracle.
He's vexed at something.
I would, 'twere something that would fret the string the master's cord on heart.
The king, the king.
What piles of wealth hath he accumulated to his own portion? At what expense by the hour seems to flow from him? How in the name of thrift does he rake this together? Now, my lords, saw you the Cardinal?
My lord, we have stood here observing him. Some strange commotion in his brain. He bites his lip and stops on a sudden, looks upon the ground, and then lays his finger upon his temple, straight springs into fast gait, then stops again.
There is a mutiny in his mind. This morning, papers of state he sent me to peruse, as I required, and what I found there, on my conscience put unwittingly. Forsooth, an inventory, thus importing the several parcels of his plate, his treasure, rich stuffs, and ornaments of household, which I find at such a proud rate that it outspeaks possession of a subject.
Oh, it's heaven's will. Some spirit put this paper in the packet to bless thy eye withal.
If we did think his contemplation were above the earth and fixed on spiritual objects, he should still dwell in his musings, but I'm afraid his thinkings are below the moon, not worth his serious considering.
Heaven forgive me, ever God bless your highness.
Good my lord. You are full of heavenly stuff, and bear the inventory of your best graces in your mind, the which you are now running o'er. You have scarce time to steal from spiritual leather a brief span to keep your earthly audit. Sure in that, I deem you an ill husband, and am glad to have you therein my companion.
Sir, for holy offices I have a time to think upon the part of business which I bear i' the state, and nature does require her times of preservation, which perforce I, her frail son, amongst my brethren mortal, must give my attendance to.
You have said well, and 'tis a kind of good deed to say well, and yet words are no deeds. My father loved you. He said he did, and with his deed did crown his word upon you. Since I had my office, I have kept you next to my heart, have not alone employed you where high profits might come home, but pared my present havings to bestow my bounties upon you.
What should this mean?
Lord, increase this business.
Have I not made you the prime man of the state? I pray you tell me, if what I now pronounce you have found true, and if you may confess it, say withal if you are bound to us or no. What say you?
My sovereign, I confess your royal graces showered on me daily have been more than could be my studied purposes requite, which went beyond all man's endeavours. For your graces heaped upon me, poor undeserver, I can nothing render but allegiant thanks, my prayers to heaven, for you, my loyalty, which ever has and ever shall be growing, till death that winter kill it.
Fairly answered. A loyal and obedient subject is therein illustrated. The honour of it does pay the act of it. As in the contrary, the foulness is the punishment. I presume that as my hand has opened bounty to you, my heart dropped love, my power rained honour, more on you than any. So your hand and heart, your brain, and every function of your power should, notwithstanding that your bond of duty, as 'twere in love's particular, be more to me, your friend, than any.
I do profess that for your highness good I ever labelled more than my own, that am, have, and will be, though all the world should crack their duty to and throw it from their soul, though perils did abound as thick as thought could make 'em, and appear in forms more horrid, yet my duty, as doth a rock against the chiding flood, should the approach of this wild river break and stand unshaken yours.
'Tis nobly spoken. Take notice, lords, he has a loyal breast, for you've seen him opened. Read over this. And after this. And then to breakfast with what appetite you have.
What should this mean? What sudden anger's this? I must read this paper. I fear the story of his anger. 'Tis so. This paper has undone me. 'Tis the account of all that world of wealth I have drawn together for mine own ends, indeed, to gain the popedom and fee my friends in Rome. Oh, negligence! I know 'twill stir him strongly. Yet I know a way, if it take right, in spite of fortune, will bring me off again. What's this? To the Pope. This letter, as I live, with all the business I writ to his holiness. Nay then, farewell. I have touched the highest point of all my greatness, and from that full meridian of my glory I haste now to my setting. I shall fall like a bright exhalation in the evening, and no man see me more.
Hear the king's pleasure, Cardinal, who commands you to render up the great seal presently into our hands, and to confine yourself to Asher House, my lord of Winchester's, till you hear further from his highness.
Stay, where's your commission, lords? Words carry not authority so weighty.
Who dare cross him bearing the king's will from his mouth expressly?
Till I find more than will or words to do it, I mean your malice, no, officious lords, I dare and must deny it. Now I feel what coarse metal ye moulded. Envy. That seal you ask with such violence, the king, mine and your master, with his own hand gave me, bade me enjoy it with the place of honours during my life, and to confirm his goodness, tied it by letters patents. Now, who'll take it?
The king that gave it.
It must be himself then.
Thou art a proud traitor, priest.
Proud lord, thou liest. Within these 40 hours, Surrey, dost better have burnt that tongue than said so.
Thy ambition, thou scarlet sin, robbed this bewailing land of Buckingham, my father-in-law. The heads of all thy brothers cardinals, with thee and all thy best parts bound together, weighed not a hair of his. Plague of your policy, Your great goodness, out of holy pity, absolved him with an axe.
This and all else this talking lord can lay upon my credit, I answer is most false. The Duke, by law, found his deserts. How innocent I was from any private malice in his end, his noble jury and foul cause can witness. If I loved many words, Lord, I should tell you, you have as little honesty as honour, that in the way of loyalty and truth towards the king, my ever royal master, dare mate a sounder man than Surrey can be, and all that love his follies.
By my soul, your long coat, priest, protects you. Thou shouldst feel my sword in the lifeblood of thee else. My lords, can ye endure this arrogance? And from this fellow? If we live thus tamely to be jaded by a piece of scarlet, farewell nobility. Let his grace go forward and dare us with his cap like larks.
All goodness is poison to thy stomach.
Yes, that goodness of gleaning all the land's wealth into your own hands, Cardinal, by extortion. The goodness of your intercept packets you writ to the Pope against the king. Your goodness, since you provoke me, shall be most notorious. My Lord of Norfolk, since you are a truly noble, as you respect the common good, the state of our despised nobility, our issues, whom if he live will scarce be gentlemen, produce the grand sum of his sins, the articles collected from his life.
Speak on, sir, I dare your worst objections. If I blush, it's to see a nobleman want manners.
I had rather want those in my head. Have at you. First, that without the king's assent or knowledge, you wrought to be a legate, by which power you maimed the jurisdiction of all bishops.
Then, that in all you writ to Rome or else to foreign princes, ego et rex meus was still inscribed, in which you brought the king to be your servant.
Then that without the knowledge either of king or council, when you went ambassador to the emperor, you made bold to carry into Flanders the great seal, that out of mere ambition you have caused your holy hat to be stamped on the king's coin.
Then, that you sent innumerable substance, by what means got I leave to your own conscience, to furnish Rome and to prepare the ways you have for dignities to the mere undoing of all the kingdom. Many more there are, which since they are of you and odious, I will not taint my mouth with.
Lord Cardinal, the king's further pleasure is, because all those things you have done of late, that therefore such a writ be sued against you, to forfeit all your goods, lands, tenements, chattels, and whatsoever, and to be out of the king's protection. This is my charge.
And so we'll leave you to your meditations, how to live better. For your stubborn answer about the giving back the great seal to us, the king shall know it, and no doubt shall thank you. So, fare you well, my little good Lord Cardinal.
So farewell to the little good you bear me. Farewell. A long farewell to all my greatness. This is the state of man. Today he puts forth the tender leaves of hope. Tomorrow blossoms and bears his blushing honours thick upon him. The third day comes a frost, a killing frost. And when he thinks a good easy man full surely his greatness is a ripening, nips his root. And then he falls, as I do. I have ventured, like little wanton boys that swim on bladders, this many summers, in a sea of glory, but far beyond my depth. My high-blown pride at length broke under me, and now has left me, weary and old with service, to the mercy of a rude stream that must forever hide me. Vain pomp and glory of this world, I hate ye. I feel my heart new opened. Oh, How wretched is this poor man that hangs on princes' favours. There is, betwixt that smile we would aspire to, that sweet aspect of princes, and their ruin, more pangs and fears than wars or women have. And when he falls like Lucifer, never to hope again. Why, how now, Cromwell?
I have no power to speak, sir.
What, amazed at my misfortunes? Can thy spirit wonder a great man should decline? Nay, and you weep, I'm fallen indeed.
How does your grace?
Why, well, never so truly happy, my good Cromwell. I know myself now, and I feel within me a peace above all earthly dignities, a still and quiet conscience. The king has cured me, I humbly thank his grace, and from these shoulders, these ruined pillars, out of pity, taken a load would sink a navy. Too much honour, oh, 'tis a burden, Cromwell. 'Tis a burden too heavy for a man that hopes for heaven. What news abroad?
The heaviest and the worst is your displeasure with the king.
God bless him.
The next is that Sir Thomas More is chosen Lord Chancellor in your place.
That's somewhat sudden, but he's a learned man. May he continue long in his highness' favour and do justice for truth's sake and his conscience, that his bones, when he run his course and sleep in blessings, may have a tomb of orphans' tears wept on him. What more?
That Cranmer is returned with welcome, installed Lord Archbishop of Canterbury.
That's news indeed.
Last, that the Lady Anne, whom the king hath in secrecy long married, this day was viewed in open as his queen, going to chapel. The voice is now only about her coronation.
There was the weight that pulled me down. Oh, Cromwell, the king has gone beyond me. All my glories in that one woman I have lost forever. No son shall ever usher forth mine honours, or gild again the noble troops that waited upon my smiles. Go get thee from me, Cromwell. I am a poor fallen man, unworthy now to be thy lord and master. Seek the king, neglect him not, make use now and provide for thine own future safety.
Oh, my lord, must I then leave you? Must I needs forego so good, so noble, and so true a master? Bear witness, all that have not hearts of iron, with what a sorrow Cromwell leaves his lord. The king shall have my service, but my prayers forever and forever shall be yours.
Cromwell, I did not think to shed a tear in all my miseries, but thou hast forced me out of my honest truth to play the woman. Let's dry our eyes, and thus far hear me, Cromwell. Say Wolsey, that once trod the ways of glory and sounded all the depths and shoals of honour, found thee a way out of his rack to rise in, a sure and safe one, though thy master missed it. Mark but my fall, and that ruined me. Cromwell, I charge thee, fling away ambition. But that sin that fell the angels. How can man then, the image of his maker, hope to win by it? Love thyself last. Cherish those hearts that hate thee. Corruption wins not more than honesty. Still in thy right hand carry gentle peace to silence envious tongues. Be just and fear not. Let all the ends thou aimst at be thy country's, thy God's, and truths. Then if you fall, O Cromwell, thou fall'st a blessed martyr. Serve the king, and prithee, lead me in. There take an inventory of all I have to the last penny. 'Tis the king's. My robe and my integrity head to heaven is all I dare now call mine. Oh, Cromwell, Cromwell, had I but served my God with half the zeal I served my king, he would not in mine age have left me naked to mine enemies.
Good sir, have patience.
So I have. Farewell, the hopes of court. My hopes in heaven do dwell.
Groundlings, this is your 5-minute interval. You now have 5 minutes to refresh your drinks, refresh yourselves, and prepare for the second half. But first, I believe, Ruth Page, you have an update for us from our Patreon.
Yes, I do. As always, a huge, huge thank you to all of our patrons and your continued support of the series. Your generosity blows us away every month, so thank you, thank you, thank you. We have a few more names to shout out this week who have just joined our Patreon family, so a big thank you to Brendan O, Maurice K, Saffron VW, and Rob M, not ours, a different one. And if you're new to the Show Must Go Online, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you don't already know, everyone involved in this project works entirely voluntary, and all of us have lost work and face a really uncertain future as a result of the pandemic. So if you would like to tip your actors and creatives today, then head on over to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/The Show Must Go Online. The link is in the description box, so head down there, it's super easy. You can give as little or as much as you like per month, or you can do a one-off donation, which is appreciated just as much. And in return, you can get access to exclusive TSMGO content that you won't find anywhere else. And between you and me, the Patreon won't be closing next week, and it probably won't be closing the week after that. So if you've ever considered it, I would join, because if you want to find things out before anyone else, be on the Patreon. Trust me, be on the Patreon. And as always, if you would like to sport your very own TSMGO t-shirt, mug, mask, bag, we have a Redbubble shop full of official merchandise that you can get your hands on right now, including prints of amazing artwork inspired by the series and created by the outstanding Carly Sponzo. And just like the Patreon, all the profits are put into our opt-in hardship fund, which directly supports the actors and creatives, as well as Carly herself. All you need to do, head to the description box, give us a like while you're down there, and subscribe to the channel for next week and potential future happenings. And all the links are down there for you.
Fabulous. And now I'd love to be able to welcome Brandi back to the green room here while the interval is commencing. And I'd love to just leave you two to it. Thank you so much. Have fun.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Brandi. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Yes, good. What did you think of the first half?
Oh, I thought this was absolutely amazing. I have actually never seen Henry VIII / All Is True, and the actors here are brilliant. They have just made this come to life in a way that I definitely couldn't have imagined.
Yeah, us too. It's incredible to think that we met these guys as a team on Saturday evening, and now we have this.
It seems like you've been working together for months. It's really phenomenal.
Good. Great. Well, that's really interesting, saying that you've never seen it, because a little birdie tells me that you actually requested to introduce this particular play. Is that right?
I did. I love the canon story and how the play was so amazing that it literally burned the globe to the ground. So I was really interested in being able to learn a bit more and think a bit more, because it's been a while since I sort of sat down and read it. So yeah, I was excited. This was a wonderful opportunity.
Amazing. And is there a particular moment you're looking forward to seeing in the second half?
I think I'm kind of looking forward to how everything kind of comes together. I really do love the scene between Katherine and Griffith. I think that's just one of the best, sort of most touching scenes in the play, and everyone is just doing so wonderfully. I don't want to pick a favorite.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, this has just been such an incredible experience.
Well, trust me, you're in for a treat in the second half. I can tell you that much. So tell me a bit more about your work. Is there something that you're working on at the moment that you can share with us? Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, I'm working right now, or actually just finishing a chapter for a book called Shakespeare in Text. It's being edited by Claire M.L. Bourne, and I have a chapter on it's called Fair and Foul, and I talk a little bit about the history of foul papers and what it means, and sort of how we can look at the way that this concept sort of came together to think about the ways that we approach the field of book history and sort of who gets to practice it, who gets to work in the archive, and how that sort of affects our work. So that's what I'm sort of finishing that right now.
That's so exciting. Well, congratulations. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Rob, if we have any other questions from the groundlings, I think we've run out of time. This interval.
I think we have sadly run out of time. That is 5 past. I'm so sorry.
No,
but yes, we can take some questions from our wonderful audience after the show, so do stick around for that. Always a useful opportunity to get some lovely discussion rolling. So if I could ask you now both to retire to the backstage area for me, please, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much, Brandi. Really appreciate your contributions today. What a wonderful, wonderful guest. So, Groundlings, the second half is about to begin, so please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. Do use the hashtag #ShowMustGoOnline to post your reactions on social media. You can follow us at TSMG Online Live on Twitter or at The Show Must Go Online on Insta and Facebook. And please enjoy the second half of William Shakespeare's Henry VIII.
4-1, Westminster, a street.
You're well met once again.
So are you.
You come to take your stand here and behold the Lady Anne pass from a coronation?
'Tis all my business. The citizens, I am sure, have shown at full their royal minds. As let them have their rights. They are ever forward in celebration of this day with shows, picnics and sights of honour.
Never greater. Nor, I'll assure you, better taken, sir.
But I beseech you, what's become of Katherine, the Princess Dowager? How goes her business?
That I can tell you too. The Archbishop of Canterbury, accompanied with other learned and reverend fathers of his order, held a late court at Dunstable, 6 miles off from Ampthill, where the princess lay, to which she was often cited by them, but appeared not. And, to be short, for not appearance and the king's late scruple, by the main assent of all these learned men, she was divorced, and the late marriage made of none effect, since which she was removed to Kimmelton, where she remains now sick.
Alas, good lady, the trumpet sound. Stand close, the queen is coming. A royal train, believe me. Ah, these I know. Oh, yeah. Who's that bears the scepter?
Marcus Dorset. Oh, and that, the Earl of Surrey.
A bold, brave gentleman. And that should be the Duke of Suffolk.
The same. High Steward.
And that my Lord of Norfolk.
Yes!
Heaven bless thee! Thou hast sweetest face I've ever looked at. So as I have a soul, she is an angel. Our king had all the Indies in his arms. So richer when he strange that lady. I cannot blame his conscience.
They that bear the cloth of honour over her are 4 barons of the Cinque Ports.
Those men are happy, and so are all near her. I take it, she that carries up the train, is that old noble lady, the Duchess of Norfolk?
It is. And all the rest are countesses.
The coronets say so? These are stars indeed.
And sometimes falling.
No more of that, no more of that.
God save you, sir. Where have you been broiling?
Among the crowd in the abbey, where a finger cannot be wedged in more. I am stifled with the mere rankness of their joy. Believe me, sir, she is the goodliest woman that ever lay by man, which, when the people had full view of, such a noise arose as the shrouds make at sea in a stiff tempest, as loud and to as many tunes. Such joy I never saw before.
But what followed?
At length her grace rose, and with modest paces came to the altar, where she kneeled and saint-like cast her fair eyes to heaven and prayed devoutly, then rose again and bowed her to the people, when by the Archbishop of Canterbury she had all the royal makings of a queen, as holy oil, Edward Confessor's crown, the rod and bird of peace, and all such emblems laid nobly on her, which performed, the choir, with all the choicest music of the kingdom, together sung Te Deum, and so she parted, and with the same full state paced back again to York Place, where the feast is held.
Sir, for since the Cardinal fell, that title's lost. 'Tis now the King's and called Whitehall.
I know it, but 'tis so lately altered that the old name is fresh about me.
What 2 reverend bishops were those that went on each side of the Queen?
Stokesley and Gardiner, the one of Winchester, newly preferred from the King's secretary, the other London.
He of Winchester is held no great good lover of the archbishops, the virtuous Cranmer.
All the land knows that. However, yet there is no great breach. When it comes, Cranmer will find a friend will not shrink from him.
Who may that be, I pray you?
Thomas Cromwell, a man in much esteem with the king, and truly a worthy friend. The king has made him master of the jewel house, and one already of the privy council.
He will deserve more.
Yes, without all doubt. Come, gentlemen, ye shall go my way, which is to the court, and there ye shall be my guests.
4-2, Kimbolton.
And how does your grace?
Oh, Griffith, sick to death. My legs, like loaden branches, bow to the earth, willing to leave their burden. Reach a chair. So now methinks I feel a little ease. Didst thou not tell me, Griffith, as thou lett'st me, that the great child of honour, Cardinal Wolsey, was dead?
Well, the voice goes, madam, but after the stout Earl Northumberland arrested him at York and brought him forward as a man sorely tainted to his answer, he fell sick suddenly and grew so ill he could not sit his mule.
Alas, poor man.
At last, with easy roads, he came to Leicester, lodged in the abbey, where the reverend abbot with all of his convent honourably received him. So went to bed, where eagerly his sickness pursued him still. And 3 nights after this, about the hour of 8, which he himself foretold would be his last. Continual meditations, full of repentance, tears and sorrows, he gave his honours to the world again, his blessed part to heaven, and slept in peace.
So may he rest, his faults lie gently on him. Yet thus far, Griffith, give me leave to speak to him, and yet with charity. He was a man of an unbounded stomach, ever ranking himself with princes, one that by suggestion tied all the kingdom. Simony was fair play, his own opinion was his law, was never, but where he meant to ruin, pitiful. His promises were, as he then was, mighty, but his performance, as he is now, nothing.
Men's evil manners live in brass, and their virtues we write in water. May it please your highness to hear me speak his good now?
Yes, good Griffith, I were malicious else.
This cardinal, though from an humble stock, undoubtedly was fashioned to much honour. From his cradle he was a scholar, and a ripe and a good one, exceeding wise, fair spoken, and persuading, lofty and sour to them that loved him not, but to those men that sought him, sweet as summer. For then, and not till then, he felt himself, and found the blessedness of being little. And to add greater honours to his age, this man, than man could give him, he died fearing God.
After my death, I wish no other herald, no other speaker of my living actions to keep mine honour from corruption, but such an honest chronicler as Griffith, whom I most hated living. Thou hast made me with thy religious truth and modesty, now in his ashes, honour. Peace be with him. Patience, be near me still, and set me lower. I have not long to trouble thee. Good Griffith, cause the musicians play me that sad note I named my knell, whilst I sit meditating on that celestial harmony I go to.
She's asleep. Good wench, let's sit down, for fear we wake her. Softly, gentle, Patience.
Wretchedness behind you?
Madam, we are here.
It's not you I call for. Saw ye none enter since I slept?
None, madam.
No? Saw you not even now a blessed troop invite me to a banquet whose bright faces cast 1,000 beams upon me like the sun? They promised me eternal happiness and brought me garlands, Griffith, which I feel I am not worthy yet to bear. I shall, assuredly.
I'm most joyful, madam. Such good dreams possess your fancy.
Bid the music leave. They are harsh and heavy to me.
You note how much her grace is altered on the sudden, how long her face is drawn, how pale she looks, and of an earthy cold. Mark her eyes.
She's going, wench. Pray. Pray.
Heaven comfort her.
And like your grace.
You are a saucy fellow. Deserve we no more reverence?
You are to blame, knowing she will not lose her wonted greatness to use so rude behaviour. Go to, kneel!
I humbly do entreat your highness's pardon. My haste made me unmannerly. There is staying a gentleman, sent from the king to see you.
Admit him entrance, Griffith, but this fellow never let me see again. If my sight fail not, you should be Lord Ambassador from the Emperor, my royal nephew, and your name Capicus.
Madame, the same, your servant.
Oh, my lord, the times and titles now altered strangely with me since first you knew me. But I pray you, what is your pleasure with me?
Noble lady, first my own service to your grace, the next the king's request that I would visit you, who grieves much for your weakness, and by me sends you his princely commendations, and heartily entreats you take good comfort.
Oh, my good lord, that comfort comes too late. 'Tis like a pardon after execution. That gentle physic given in time had cured me, but now I am past all comforts here but prayers. How does his highness?
Madame, in good health.
So may he ever do, and ever flourish, when I shall dwell with worms and my poor name banished the kingdom. Patience, is that letter I caused you write yet sent away?
No, madam.
Sir, I most humbly pray you to deliver this to my lord the king.
Most willing, madam.
In which I have commended to his goodness the model of our chaste loves, his young daughter, beseeching him to give her virtuous breeding, to love her for her mother's sake that loved him, heaven knows how dearly. My next poor petition is that his noble grace would have some pity upon my wretched women, that so long have followed both my fortunes faithfully, of which there is not one but will deserve a right good husband, let him be a noble. And sure those men are happy that shall have him. The last is for my men, they are the poorest, that they may have their wages duly paid 'em, and something over to remember me by. These are the whole contents, and good my lord, by that you love the dearest in this world, as you wish Christian peace to souls departed, stand these poor people's friend, and urge the king to do me this last right.
By heaven, I will, or let me lose the fashion of a man.
I thank you, honest lord. Remember me in all humility unto his highness. Say his long trouble now is passing out of this world. Tell him in death I blessed him, for so I will. Mine eyes grow dim. Farewell, my lord. Griffith, farewell. Nay, Patience, you must not leave me yet. When I am dead, let me be used with honour. Strew me over with maiden flowers, that all the world may know I was a chaste wife to my grave. Embalm me, then lay me forth, although unqueened, yet like a queen, and daughter to a king. Inter me. I can no more.
5-1, London, Palace Gallery.
Good hour of night, Sir Thomas, whither so late?
Came you from the king, my lord?
I did, Sir Thomas, and left him at Primero with the Duke of Suffolk.
I must to him too. Before he go to bed, I'll take my leave.
Not yet, Sir Thomas Lovell. What's the matter? It seems you are in haste.
The queen's in labour. They say in great extremity, and feared she'll with the labour end.
The fruit she goes with, I pray for heartily, that it may find good time and live. But for the stock, Sir Thomas. I wish it grubbed up now.
Methinks I could cry the amen, and yet my conscience says she's a good creature, and sweet lady does deserve our better wishes.
But sir, hear me, Sir Thomas. It will ne'er be well till Cranmer, Cromwell, her two hands, and she sleep in their graves.
Now, sir, you speak of two, the most remarked i' the kingdom. As for Cromwell, besides that of the jewel house, is made master of the rolls and the king's secretary. The Archbishop is the king's hand and tongue, and who dare speak one syllable against him?
Yes, Sir Thomas, there are that dare, and I myself have ventured to speak my mind of him. And indeed, this day, sir, I may tell you, I think I have incensed the lords of the council that he is a most arch heretic, a pestilence that does infect the land with which they moved have broken with the king, who have so far given ear to our complaint of his great grace and princely care, foreseeing those fell mischiefs our reasons laid before him, hath commanded tomorrow morning to the council board he be convented. He's a rank weed, Sir Thomas, and we must root him out. From your affairs, I hinder you too long. Good night, Sir Thomas.
Many good nights, my lord. I rest your servant.
Charles, I'll play no more tonight. My mind's not on't. You were too hard for me.
Sir, I did never win of you before.
But little, Charles, nor shall not when my fancy's on my play. Now, Lovell, from the Queen, what is the news?
I could not personally deliver to her what you commanded me, but by her woman I sent your message, who returned her thanks in the greatest humbleness, and desired your highness most heartily to pray for her.
Alas, good lady.
God safely quit her of her burden, and with gentle travail to the gladding of your highness with an air.
'Tis midnight, Charles. Prithee to bed, and in thy prayers remember the estate of my poor queen.
I wish your highness a quiet night, and my good mistress will remember in my prayers.
Charles, good night. Well, sir, what follows?
Sir, I have brought you my lord the Archbishop's, as you commanded me.
Bring him to us.
This is about that which the bishop spoke. I am happily come hither.
Avoid the gallery. Huh? I have said, be gone. What?
Fearful frowns he thus. 'Tis his aspect of terror. All's not well.
How now, my lord? You do desire to know wherefore I sent for you.
It is my duty to attend your highness' pleasure.
Pray you arise, my good and gracious lord of Canterbury. I have, and most unwillingly of late, heard many grievous, I do say, my lord, grievous complaints of you, which being considered, have moved us and our council, that you shall this morning come before us, where I know you cannot with such freedom purge yourself, but that till further trial, in those charges which will require your answer, you must take your patience to you, and be well contented to make your house our tower. You, a brother of us, it fits we thus proceed, or else no witness would come against you.
I humbly thank your highness, and am right glad to catch this good occasion most throughly to be winnowed, where my chaff and corn shall fly asunder, for I know there's none stands under more calumnious tongues than I myself, poor man.
Stand up, good Canterbury. Thy truth and thy integrity is rooted in us, thy friend. Give me thy hand. Stand up. Prithee, let's walk. Now, by my holiday, what manner of man are you? My lord, I looked you would have given me your petition, that I should attain some pains to bring together yourself and your accusers, and to have heard you without endurance further.
My most dread liege, The good I stand on is my truth and honesty. If they shall fail, I, with mine enemies, will triumph o'er my person, which I weigh not being of those virtues vacant. I fear nothing what can be said against me.
Know you not how your state stands in the world, with the whole world? Your enemies are many, not small. Their practices must bear the same proportion, and not ever the justice and the truth of the question carries the due of the verdict with it. And what ease might corrupt minds procure knaves as corrupt to swear against you?
God and your majesty protect mine innocence, or I fall into the trap is laid for me.
Be of good cheer. They shall no more prevail than we give way to. Keep comfort to you, and this morning see you do appear before them. If they shall chance in charging you with matters to commit you, the best persuasions to the contrary fail not to use, and with what vehemency the occasion shall instruct you. Entreaties will render you no remedy. This ring, deliver them, and your appeal to us there make before them. Get you gone, and do as I bid you. He has strangled his language in his tears.
Come back! What mean you?
I'll not come back. The tidings that I bring will make my business manners. Now, good angels, fly o'er thy royal head and shade thy person under their blessed wings.
Now by thy looks I guess thy message. Is the queen delivered? Say I, another boy.
Aye, my liege, and of a lovely boy. The God of heaven both now and ever bless her. 'Tis a girl promises boys hereafter. Sir, your queen desires your visitation and to be acquainted with this stranger. 'Tis as like you as cherry is to cherry.
Lovell!
Sir!
Give her 100 marks. I'll to the queen.
100 marks? By this light I'll have more. An ordinary groom is for such payment. I will have more or scold it out of him. Said I for this, the girl was like to him. I'll have more or else unsay it. And now, whilst 'tis hot, I'll put it to the issue.
(5-2) London, Council Chamber Lobby.
Hope I am not too late. Or fast. Who waits there? Sure, you know me.
Well, yes, my lord, but yet I cannot help you. Your grace must wait till you be called for.
So, 'tis Butts, the king's physician. As he passed along, how earnestly he cast his eyes upon me.
I'll show your grace a stranger sight.
That, Butts.
I think your highness saw this many a day.
Body of me, where is it?
There, my lord, the high promotion of his grace of Canterbury, who holds his state at door.
Ha! 'Tis he indeed. Is this the honour they do one another? 'Tis well there's one above him yet. I had thought they had parted so much honesty among them, at least good manners, as not thus to suffer a man of his place, so near our favour, to dance attendance on their lordship's pleasure, and at the door too, like a post with packets. By Holy Mary, Butts, there's knavery. Let him alone, and draw the curtain close, and we shall hear more anon.
Speak to the business, Master Secretary. Why are we met in council?
Please your honours, the chief cause concerns his grace of Canterbury.
Has he had knowledge of it?
Yes.
Who waits there?
Without, me noble lords.
Yes.
Look, me lord Archbishop, and has done half an hour to know your pleasures.
Let him come in.
Your grace may enter now.
My good Lord Archbishop, I am very sorry to sit here at this present and behold that chair stand empty. But we all are men in our own natures, frail and capable of our flesh. Few are angels, out of which frailty and want of wisdom you, that best should teach us, have misdemeaned yourself, and not a little, toward the king first, then his laws, in filling the whole realm by your teaching and your chaplains, for so we are informed, with new opinions, diverse and dangerous, which are heresies and not reformed, may prove pernicious.
Which reformation must be sudden too, my noble lords. For if we do suffer out of our easiness and childish pity to one man's honour this contagious sickness, farewell all physic. And what follows then? Commotions, uproars, with a general taint of the whole state.
My good lords, hitherto in all the progress both of my life and office I have laboured, and with no little study, that my teaching and the strong course of my authority might go one way and safely. And the end was ever to do well. Nor is there living a man that more detests, more stirs against defacers of a public peace than I do. Pray heaven the king may never find a heart with less allegiance in it. Men that make envy and crooked malice nourishment dare bite the best. I do beseech your lordships that in this case of justice, my accusers, be what they will, may stand forth face to face and freely urge against me.
Nay, my lord, that cannot be. You are a counsellor, and by that virtue no man dare accuse you.
My lord, because we have a business of more in moment, we will be short with you. 'Tis his highness' pleasure and our consent for better trial of you. From hence you be committed to the Tower, where, being but a private man again, you shall know many dare accuse you boldly. More than I fear you are provided for.
My good Lord of Winchester, I thank you. You are always my good friend. If your will pass, I shall find both your lordship judge and juror. You are so merciful. I see your end. 'Tis my undoing. Love and meekness, Lord, become a churchman better than ambition. Win straying souls with modesty again, cast none away. That I shall clear myself, lay all the weight you can upon my patience. I make as little doubt as you do conscience in doing daily wrongs. I could say more, but reverence to your calling makes me modest.
My lord, you are a sectary. That's the plain truth. Your painted gloss discovers to men that understand you words and weaknesses.
My Lord of Winchester, you are a little, by your good favour, too sharp. Men so noble, however faulty, yet should find respect for what they have been. 'Tis a cruelty to load a falling man.
Good Master Secretary, I cry your honour mercy. You may worst of all this table say so.
Why, my lord?
Do not I know you for a favourer of this new sect? Ye are not sound.
Not sound?
Not sound, I say.
Would you were half so honest. Men's prayers then would seek you, not their fears.
I shall remember this bold language.
You remember your bold life too.
This is too much. Forbear for shame, my lords.
I have done.
And I.
Then, thus for you, my lord, it stands agreed. I take it, by all voices, that forthwith you be conveyed to the Tower a prisoner, there to remain till the king's further pleasure be known unto us. Are you all agreed, lords?
We are.
Yeah.
Is there no other way of mercy, but I must needs to the Tower, my lord?
Other would you expect? You are strangely troublesome. Let some of the guard be ready there.
For me? Must I go like a traitor thither?
Receive him and see him safe in the tower.
Stay, my good lords. I have a little yet to say. Look there, my good lords. By virtue of that ring, I take my cause out of the gripes of cruel men and give it to a most noble judge, the king, my master.
This is the king's ring.
'Tis no counterfeit.
'Tis the right ring, by heaven. I told you all, when we first put this dangerous stone a-rolling, 'twould fall upon ourselves.
Do you think, my lords, the king will suffer but the little finger of this man to be vexed?
'Tis now too certain. How much more in his life and value with him? Would I were fairly out of it.
My mind gave me, in seeking tales and informations against this man, whose honesty the devil and his disciples only envy at. Ye blew the fires that burn me. Now have at you.
Dread sovereign, how much are we bound to heaven in daily thanks that gave us such a prince, not only good and wise, but most religious, one that in all obedience makes the church the chief aim of his honor, and to strengthen that holy duty out of dear respect. His royal self in judgment comes to hear the cause betwixt her and this great offender.
You were ever good at sudden commendations, Bishop of Winchester. But no, I come not to hear such flattery now. In my presence they are too thin and base to hide offences. To me you cannot reach. You play the spaniel, and think with wagging of your tongue to win me. But whatsoever thou takest me for, I'm sure thou hast a cruel nature and a bloody. Good man, sit down. Now let me see the proudest he that dares most but wag his finger at thee.
May it please your grace to...
No, sir, it does not please me. I thought I had had men of some understanding and wisdom of my counsel, but I find none. Was discretion, lords, to let this man, this good man, few of you deserve that title, this honest man wait like a lousy footboy at chamber door, and one as great as you are? Why, what a shame was this! I gave you power as he was a counsellor to try him, not as a groom. There's some of you, I see, more out of malice than integrity, would try him to the utmost had ye mean, which ye shall never have while I live.
Thus far, my most dreaded sovereign, may it like your grace to let my tongue excuse all. What was purposed concerning his imprisonment was rather, if there be faith in men, meant for his trial and fair purgation to the world, than malice, I'm sure, in me.
Well, well, my lords, respect him. Take him and use him well. He's worthy of it. I will say thus much for him. If a prince may be beholding to a subject, I am for his love and service so to him. Make me no more ado, but all embrace him. Be friends, for shame, my lords. My lord of Canterbury, I have a suit which you must not deny me, that it is a fair young maid that yet wants baptism. You must be godfather, and answer for her.
Greatest monarch now alive may glory in such an honour. How may I deserve it that am a poor and humble subject to you?
Come, come, my lord, you'd spare your spoons. You shall have two noble partners with you, the old Duchess of Norfolk and Lady Marquis Dorset. Will these please you? Once more, my Lord of Winchester, I charge you, embrace and love this man.
With a true heart and brother love, I do it.
And let heaven witness how dear I hold this confirmation.
Good man! Those joyful tears show thy true heart. The common voice I see is verified of thee, which says thus, do my Lord of Canterbury a shrewd turn, and he's your friend forever. Come, lords, we trifle time away. I long to have this young one made a Christian. As I have made you one, lords, one remain. So I grow stronger, you more honour gain.
5-3. London, Council Chamber.
You leave your noise a none, you rascals! Do you take this court for parish garden? You rude slaves, leave your gaping!
Good Master Porter, I belong to the ladder!
Belong to the gallows and be hanged, you rogue! Is this a place to roar in? Fetch me a dozen Crabtree staves, and strong ones. These are but switches to 'em. I'll scratch your heads. You must be seeing christenings.
Well, pray, Ritter, be patient! 'Tis as much impossible, unless we sweep 'em from the door with cannons to scatter 'em, as 'tis to make 'em sleep on May Day morning. That which will never be. We may as well push against Poole's as stir 'em.
How got they in and be hanged?
Alas, I know not. How gets the tiding? I'm not Samson, nor Sir Guy, nor Colburn to mow 'em down before me. No, but if I spared any that had a head to hit, either young or old, he or she, cuckold or cuckold maker, let me ne'er hope to see a chine again, and that I would not for a cow, God save her.
Do you hear, Master Porter?
I shall be with you presently, good Master Puppy. Keep the door close, Zero.
Yeah. Bow! What would you have me do?
What should you do but knock 'em down by the dozens? On my Christian conscience, this one christening will beget 1,000. Here will be father, godfather, and all together.
Oh, the spoons will be the biggest, sir. There's a fellow, somewhere near the door, that should be a brazier by his face. That fire break did I hit 3 times on the head, and 3 times was his nose discharged against me. He stands there like a mortar piece to blow us. I missed the meter once and hit a woman who cried out, "Clubs!" when I might see from far some 40 truncheoners draw to her succour. I defied them still, when suddenly a file of boys behind them, loose shot, delivered such a shower of pebbles, I was fain to draw mine honour in and let them do the work.
These are the youths that thunder at the playhouse and fight for bitten apples that no audience but the tribulation of Tower Hill or the limbs of Limehouse, their dear brothers, are able to endure.
Mercy on me, what a multitude are here! They grow still, too! From all parts they are coming, as if we kept a fair here. Where are these porters, these lazy knaves? Y'all have made a fine hand, fellows. There's a trim rabble let in. Are all these your faithful friends of the suburbs? We shall have great store of room, no doubt, left for the ladies when they pass back from the christening.
And it please your honour, we are but men, and what so many may do, not being torn a pieces, we have done. An army cannot rule them.
As I live, if the king blame me for it, I'll lay ye all by the heels, and suddenly, and on your heads clap round fines for neglect. You're lazy knaves, and here you lie baiting of bombards when you should do service. Hark, the trumpets sound. They're come already from the christening. Go, break among the press and find a way out to let the troop pass fairly, or I'll find a marshalsea shall hold ye play these 2 months.
Make way there for the princess.
You, great fellow, you stand close or we'll make your headache.
You, in the chamblet, get up on the rail. I'll peck you over the pales else.
5-4. London, the Palace Yard.
Heaven, from thy endless goodness send prosperous life, long and ever happy, to the high and mighty Princess of England, Elizabeth!
Elizabeth! And to your royal grace and the good queen, my noble partners and myself thus pray, all comfort, joy, in this most gracious lady, heaven ever laid up to make parents happy, may hourly fall upon you.
Thank you, good Lord Archbishop. What's her name?
Elizabeth!
Stand up, Lord. With this kiss, take my blessing. God protect thee, into whose hand I give thy life.
Amen.
My noble gossips, you've been too prodigal. I thank you heartily. So shall this lady, when she has so much more English.
Let me speak, sir, for heaven now bids me, and the words I utter, let none think flattery, for they'll find 'em truth. This royal infant, heaven still move about her, though in her cradle, yet now promises upon this land 1,000 blessings, which time shall bring to ripeness. She shall be a pattern to all princes living with her, and all that shall succeed. All princely graces that mould up such a mighty piece as this, with all the virtues that attend the good, shall still be doubled on her. Truth shall nurse her. Holy and heavenly thoughts still counsel her. She shall be loved and feared. Her own shall bless her. Her foes shake like a field of beaten corn and hang their heads with sorrow. Good grows with her. In her days, every man shall eat in safety under his own vine what he plants, and sing the merry songs of peace to all his neighbours. God shall be truly known, and those about her from her shall read the perfect ways of honour, and by those claim their greatness, not by blood. Nor shall this peace sleep with her, but as when the bird of wonder dies, the maiden phoenix, her new ashes create another heir, as great in admiration as herself, so shall she leave a blessedness to one who from the sacred ashes of her honour shall star-like rise, as great in fame as she was, and so stand fixed. Peace, plenty, love, truth, terror, that were the servants to this chosen infant, shall then be his, and like a vine grow to him. Wherever the bright heaven of sun shall shine, his honour and the greatness of his name shall be, and make new nations. He shall flourish, and like a mountain cedar reach his branches to all the plains about him. Our children's children shall see this, and bless heaven.
Thou speakest wonders.
He shall be, to the happiness of England, an aged princess. Many days shall see her, and yet no day without a deed to crown it. Oh, would I had known no more. But she must die. She must, the saints must have her. Yet a virgin, a most unspotted lily shall she pass to the ground, and all the world shall mourn her.
Oh, Lord Archbishop, thou hast made me now a man. Never before this happy child did I get anything. This oracle of comfort has so pleased me that when I am in heaven, I shall desire to see what this child does and praise my Maker. You must all see the Queen, and she must thank you. She will be sick else. This day, no man think has business at his house, for all shall stay. This little one shall make it holy day.
'Tis 10 to 1 this play can never please all that are here. Some come to take their ease and sleep an act or two, but those we fear we have frighted with our trumpets. So 'tis clear they'll say 'tis not. Others to hear the city abused extremely, and to cry, that's witty, which we have not done neither. I fear all the expected good we are like to hear, for this play at this time is only in the merciful construction of good women, but such a one we showed him. If they smile and say, 'twill do, I know within a mile all the best men are ours, but 'tis ill hap if they hold when their ladies bid 'em clap.
Congratulations, everybody. Come on out here. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Here we are at the summit. What a marvellous evening that's been. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Absolutely wonderful. Audience, if you've enjoyed tonight's performance, and from the applause that's rolling in, it looks like that may well be the case. Please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, consider making a donation to our Patreon page, or even getting yourself some TSMGO merchandise. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce you to your cast and crew for this evening, starting of course with the wonderful nobleman and producer Sarah Peachy.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm an actor and innovation project manager based in Glasgow.
Our associate director, stage manager, master of props and ensemble/cameo, Emily Ingram.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a writer, director and stage manager based in Scotland.
Our associate producer, Matt Rhodes.
Hi, I'm Matthew Rhodes. I'm an emerging theatre artist on unceded Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh territory, also called Vancouver, Canada.
On music and sound, it's Adam Gibson.
Hi, I'm Adam Gibson. I'm sound designer and composer currently based between London and Scotland.
And special thanks this evening to Victoria Ray Sook and MJ Lee for their dance choreography. Fantastic addition to this evening's show. Thank you so much. And now, your cast, starting, of course, with Henry VIII, Lachlan McCall.
Hi, I'm Lachlan McCall. I'm an actor based in London.
As Cardinal Wolsey, Joyce Branagh.
Hello, I'm Joyce Branagh. I'm an actor, writer, director based in Yorkshire.
As Queen Katherine, Sally McLean.
Hello, I'm Sally McLean. I'm an actor, director, writer based in Melbourne, Australia.
As the Duke of Norfolk, Gabriel Akamo.
Hello, I'm Gabriel Akamo. I'm an actor and poet based in London.
As the Duke of Buckingham, Jeff King.
Hello, I'm Jeff King. I'm an actor and singer and based in Kent.
Lord Chamberlain, Alec Stevens III.
Hi, I'm Alec III, based in Bushwick, Brooklyn, multi-hyphenate actor, writer, singer, and host of the Bushwick Variety Show podcast.
Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury, Kirsty Cox.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Cox. I'm an actor based in Bristol.
Earl of Surrey, Freddie Hill.
Hello, my name's Freddie Hill. I'm an actor based in West Sussex.
As Sir Thomas Lovell and Gentlewoman, Micaela Mannix.
Hi, I'm Micaela Mannix. I am an actor based in Washington, D.C.
As Anne Boleyn, Ali Poole.
Hello, I am Ali Poole, an actor and sound artist based in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
As our ensemble for this evening, first of all, Claire Richardson.
Hi, I'm Claire Richardson, an actor and fight performer based in London.
Sana Javid.
Hi, I'm Sana Javid, and I'm based in London. I'm an actor and singer.
Hannah Balogan.
Hi, I'm Hannah Balogan, and I'm an actress based in London.
Catherine Bobert.
Oh, I'm Catherine Bobert, and I'm an actor based in London.
Arashi Ganju.
Hi, I'm Arashi Ganju, and I'm a third year at Drama Centre London.
Tyler Nowakowski.
Hi, I'm Tyler Nowakowski. I'm an actor based in Massachusetts.
Eugenia Low.
Hi, I'm Eugenia Low. I'm an actor based in London.
Aurora Nicole Kim.
Hi, I'm an actor and student from South Korea.
Benjamin Chandler.
Hello, I'm Benjamin Chandler. I'm an actor from Yorkshire.
Jes Gislason.
Hello, I'm Jes Gislason. I'm an Icelandic actor based in London.
Sarah McCourt.
Hi, I'm Sarah McCourt. I'm an actor based in Plymouth.
Loving that headdress. Peter Rogers.
Hello, I'm Peter Rogers, actor, writer, fight choreographer based in Sonoma County, California.
Adam Bruce.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam Bruce. I'm an actor musician from Yorkshire.
Jed McLoughlin.
Hi there, my name is Jed McLoughlin. I'm an actor based in London.
Fabulous. And our incredible swings for this evening, who in the event of personal difficulties or emergencies would have swung in to keep the story moving forward and have also played some wonderful cameos this evening. First of all, Nathan Everett Patterson.
Hello, my name is Nathan Everett Patterson. I'm based in Dublin and I'm an actor and a graphic designer.
Charlotte E. Taylor.
Hi, I'm Charlotte E. Taylor. I'm an actor, singer and musician based in Brighton.
Wonderful. With featured cameos from the wonderful Ben Crystal. Is he there? Never mind. Come back to you. And our wonderful social media and Patreon manager, Ruth Page.
Hi, I'm Ruth, and I am a Midlands born and based actor.
And let's give it up one more time for the heck of it for Matthew Rhodes and Emily Ingram. Amazing work, everyone. Amazing, amazing work. What a fabulous evening that's been. Thank you so much, everyone at home, for joining us. Please, if you have any questions for the cast and crew for tonight's production, please do let us know, and we would be more than happy to answer them. Just chuck them in the chat there. We'll be keeping an eye on that, and we will be jumping into action on those as soon as you send them through. So questions, get them in now. Sarah, did you manage to spot any during the interval at all?
I didn't, sadly.
That's absolutely fine. There's been a lot going on this evening, everyone, for those of you watching backstage.
I think something that has been sort of commented on, and certainly something that is very special about this week is the incredible costumes. For one thing, we have to do a massive shout out to our incredible cast. Look at them. Just look at them. They're all fabulous. All created at home with guidance from fabulous Emily Ingram.
Absolutely. I think in particular, Catherine's hat was getting some attention. So I'd love to hear from both Sally and Emily on that. How did you put that together, Emily?
Well, I wouldn't speak before royalty, so after Sally.
Just to wear that again, because it feels like it needs another outing before it ends up in my costume bin, which it will end up in my costume bin. It was an interesting thing because Katherine is so known for this look with the gable headdress, and obviously that had to happen, but also was very much not willing to give up the title of Queen. So we had that whole crown gable thing going on, but I would like to have worn this more, but I don't think she would have allowed it to herself to be demoted that early in the play. Otherwise I could have happily worn this the whole time. It was actually, I loved it. I do love it. It's kind of cool, but it's made, here we go. Oh, so she hair all over her face. So for anyone wants to know, it's made out of cardboard. It's in a cardboard box, corrugated and folded into the gable shape. And then a piece of black material that I actually sewed it into the edge, around the edge there, so that it wouldn't come out, because that was what was worrying me. And then I got Velcro things, tabs. So they're sticky, okay, you can't see it, they're dark, but sticky Velcro tabs that to basically then stick this on. So technically, I don't know if I should, but it can actually, this can come off. Sound of Velcro. So it actually means that the trim can be removed. I was looking to do a second trim, but then we didn't need it twice. So we got the one trim. So that, and it was done so that I could rip it off quickly and put the other one on if I had to. But yeah. So thank you, Emily, for your amazing instructions. Oh, and at the back, if anyone wants to know how that stayed on, it's just a ribbon that was put through the back of it to pull it tight at the back of my head. Yeah, so that was it. That's how I did it. So there you go, guys. Next time you need a gable. I was really anxious about this. I was so anxious about this one. So I'm really glad that everyone enjoyed it, because it was a few hours of stress. So yeah. So
oh,
thank
well,
you.
pulled off with aplomb, mate. Pulled off with absolute aplomb. Amazing. Also got someone here asking, does that mean Lachlan didn't already have his costume before he was cast?
No, I didn't. But I also didn't make it. I can't take credit for making it. I do a lot when I'm not acting. I do a lot of work at various heritage sites as historical interpreter, and a very good friend of mine called Gary Fisher lent me this. I'd give him a shout out, but he's not watching, so. Yeah, he works at Hatfield House, but I've done a lot of work at Hampton Court Palace as well. So he kindly lent me this gear, so I can't take credit. I wish I could say I made it like in the last few days, but yeah, I didn't, unfortunately.
Fabulous, fabulous. Sarah, do we have any questions coming in from our marvellous groundlings?
Yes, we do. Oh, I've got a quick one here that I need to ask. So for all of our new viewers, this will be relevant to you. How long was the rehearsal process?
So the rehearsal process, in terms of like number of hours that we in the room together, is 2.5 days, but that takes place over kind of 3 and a bit days. So obviously people are busy when we're not in the rehearsal room, kind of scurrying around doing all this wonderful work, creating props, getting their setups, sourcing candles, all that kind of thing. So I'd say probably 3 days for the whole production, but certainly in terms of contact time in the rehearsal room, it's 2.5 days, which is not long at all. We usually run a scene twice before you see it, and then everybody sees the play as a whole for the first time on the night. So we don't do any kind of dress rehearsal or anything like that. This is the first full run of the piece. So yeah, fabulous stuff. Any more questions, Sarah?
Yes, I've got one here that might be nice to throw to Brandi to start with. So it's not in the stage directions, but some productions do bring the actor for Anne back at the end for Elizabeth's christening. And the question is, what do you think the production gained by not including her then, or what does it lose perhaps as an additional point to that?
I think by having her not be there, it's kind of a harbinger about what happens to women in the play, where the focus sort of turns to Elizabeth, and it kind of elides over all of the bad things that are about to happen. And I think by not having her there, it makes it a more joyful and sort of celebratory moment. But I think if you added Anne back in, the next question, at least in my mind as an audience member, is what's next for Anne? And we all know what's next for Anne. So it just becomes this very uncomfortable moment.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Very different historically to certainly how this play presents it. It's a really interesting thing. I can't remember who it was I was talking to, or maybe it was in the dramaturgy, but they said about how this play had to toe a really delicate line between so many different tensions of the period, and also a lot of things that were what's the word, kind of censored, I suppose, during the time. To get it past the censor, you had to make sure that you weren't talking about certain topics. I believe the kind of Protestant Catholic schism was one of those things you weren't actually allowed to kind of call out by name. So it's one of the things that inspired this whole idea of playing with fire with this production, because obviously it burned down the globe, but also a lot of the politics of the play are kind of skirting close to some really dangerous issues of the time. I think I read somewhere as well that James kind of considered himself a great unifier and a great peacemaker, and that this was kind of an attempt to do that by taking the story and rewriting the history of it to kind of smooth out all of those rough edges and be like, no, it was destined to happen. Elizabeth was going to be a virgin, I was going to take over, everything's going to be great, which is a really interesting way of looking at it. Ali, how was it for you not being in that final scene?
Yeah, when I first read it, I was like, wait a second. Why? How is she not there for her daughter's christening and everything? It didn't make sense to me. And also, I was like, I can have 4 outfits instead of 3. No, superficially. But no, here when what Brandi just said made so much sense. I was like, oh yes, of course, that does make sense. But selfishly as an actor, I was like, screen time, come back.
Amazing. Well, when we remount it, get the alternate ending. Fabulous. Lachlan, do you want to just pitch that out for the benefit of our audience?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I mean, to be fair, the king isn't even there for their wedding. So, don't know where he is, don't know what he's doing. You'd think he'd be there, wouldn't you?
You would. What a character. Fabulous. Sarah, do we have any more questions?
Yes. So I've got one here which someone said, do you think this play actually works better via Zoom with it being more intimate?
That's a really good question. Yes and no. I mean, I feel like the play relies on extremes. So you're either in an extreme close-up or you're in this massive pageant with like hundreds of people involved. And I feel like certainly the skullduggery, if you like, the political machinations work really well over Zoom. I think it's a really interesting play, this one, because there's a big debate over well, not a debate over, it was played in both, but like which one does it suit best, whether Blackfriars, the indoor theatre, or the Globe. And of course, we know that it burned down the Globe, but you can also tell just from kind of the way it's written and where the focus is, how it's written. It's a series of interviews and court cases, and it really appeals in many ways to that kind of upper class clientele that you would have got at the Blackfriars Theatre that you maybe wouldn't have got at the Globe. There's only one scene with commoners in it, which is right before the end, which is, I think, a really interesting distinction about it. Certainly the candlelight idea was us trying to recreate a kind of Blackfriars or Wanamaker Playhouse kind of feel and aesthetic to it. And also just tried to mark a couple of moments aesthetically of kind of rises and falls with people getting more candles as they get more status and then blowing them out as they're kind of finished off and stuff like that. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one.
Just while you've mentioned the candles and also the Wanamaker Theatre, I'd quite like to throw over to Ben, please, for a fascinating fact about part of his setup for his cameos. Ben, are you still with us?
Me, Ben? Oh yeah, I'm still.
Other Ben, sadly, but it's good to hear from you as well, and we will come back to you because your candle setup is wonderful as well.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Congratulations, everyone. That was fantastic. Goodness gracious, which is not something I think people often say about this play. Really, really wonderful to watch. Well, I was very lucky with an ensemble that I curated a few years ago to go into the Wanamaker for a couple of years, and the candle that was burning in the background here is a candle from the Wanamaker Playhouse, and there's a great smell of honey and beeswax that they very, very carefully chose. There was a candlician in the Wanamaker in the first few years, and one of the jobs of Farah Karim Cooper, who's the head of research at the Globe, was to go around the country and find lots of different beekeepers, and they spent a lot of time working out what sort of candle to use, because depending on the quality of the wax will depend how much smoke is given off, and they work really, really hard to get just the right quality of candle for the Wanamaker Playhouse of the Shakespeare's Globe, the reconstructed Shakespeare's Globe in London. And I stole this one, and I've been waiting for about 4 or 5 years to use it, and this was an honourable use for a very, very special production.
Thank you so much, Ben. That's fabulous. Obviously, Emily Ingram was standing by with a fire extinguisher. However, unfortunately, we're thousands of miles away from each other. So well done, actors, on keeping your homes in one piece while playing with fire. Really, really well done. Again, credit to Emily, who sent out a very good and thorough health and safety briefing, made sure that everyone knew exactly what they were doing before they got into it. Fabulous stuff. Sarah, any more questions?
Yes, so I've got a question here for Lachlan. And the question starts with, this place, it has loads of text. And they want to know, how do you just get into character for Henry VIII? And how do you prepare to make the lines flow naturally?
Wow. I guess in the first instance, I know the period really well, so I know the context of it really well. I'm very keen to stress that this is a play and not a documentary, so it's Shakespeare's version of this, and at times it's a bit skew-if. So the important thing is to focus on the play and not necessarily what happened in real life. But I know who all the people are and their relationships, and I've got various opinions on Henry VIII anyway, which I won't share now. They're not generally very favourable, but so I do know the character quite well, which does help. I suppose in terms of the text, I guess, I mean, it really helps having a director who is very text focused. As an actor, especially with classical text, I always start from the words, and it's because everything's in there really. Then the more you do it, the more you work on Shakespeare or Johnson or Marlowe or whatever, the more you sort of key into that code, as it were. And it wouldn't say it becomes easier, but it helps you rather than being an obstacle. And I've done quite a lot of it now. And having a director like Rob, who always starts from the text as well, is a really helpful place. And you just work. You just do the preparation. You just, as everyone here has done tonight, you just make sure you know why you're saying things rather than just saying words in a sort of nice voice, which is what some actors do. And that's why people get to see Shakespeare and they don't understand it, because the actors don't understand it. Does that answer the question? Sort of, I hope.
I think so. I mean, I'd be interested to hear, if we can do it briefly, your opinions on the real Henry VIII.
Very, very briefly. Okay, I mean, yeah, I think he is a monster. I think he was a terrible king, but I don't think he was necessarily the sort of panto villain that he's painted out to be. I think he started off a lot better. He has a riding accident in the 1530s, and there's a theory he suffered quite serious brain damage as a result. It was after that point he got really tyrannical. That's when he started really going to town with executing members of court and indeed some of his queens. But I think, to use a sort of Shakespearean analogy, I think he just had this major tragic flaw, which was a mixture of a massive ego and huge insecurity. And I could talk about Henry VIII all night, really, but I think he sort of meant well, certainly initially, but it's a sort of real lesson in power corrupting, for me, to be honest. And he could have been amazing. He was really popular as a young man, both in England and all around Europe. And he could have been a brilliant monarch, but he kind of messed it up. And that's an understatement.
Fabulous stuff. So obviously we've already been talking about preparation, so there's a relevant question here, I think. Do the cast feel that a longer rehearsal period and shorter run might have a deleterious impact on the intensity and clarity of storytelling? That was deleterious, which means bad. Would it negatively affect the intensity and clarity of storytelling?
Rob coming in here with his fancy words.
It's not mine. This is the question as phrased.
I would say no.
Matt coming in here with his fancy shirt.
I mean, I would say no to a longer rehearsal. I think it gives you. It depends how you work, and if you're constantly working to keep digging and uncovering and unearthing and cementing, then absolutely no, a longer rehearsal period. I mean, I've done shows where you get on stage, you've had, a month and a half, whatever, 2 months, and then you get on stage and you're still discovering stuff in the run, because especially with any kind of Elizabethan text, especially Shakespeare, because it's layer upon layer upon layer. So I don't know, they're kind of two different beasts, I find. I mean, I'm exhausted right now after tonight. But it's the same feeling, interestingly, that I would get coming off stage after having done a run and full rehearsal run and then a full performance on a stage, which is really interesting. So that would be my answer, would be no. I think they're two different beasts, but I think they also have their pros and cons, both sides.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is, I feel like, the minimum viable amount of time that you could put something like this together, certainly. Wonderful. Anyone else got strong feelings on the amount of time it takes to rehearse and perform things?
I think you can really get to like the heart of something and like the general feeling of something in a few days, like we have. But I think, like Joyce said, there's always, Sally said, there's always something new to discover. There's always more angles underneath the surface that you can find. So I think a longer rehearsal period will never make a show worse, because I think there's always a new take you can find. There's always new information to uncover. So I think a longer rehearsal period is always better than a shorter.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do this 2.5 days exactly like this for the first 2.5 days of rehearsal, and then get in a room and be like, right, here we go. So we've got a skeleton now. How much embellishment, and embroidery, and detail, and all that kind of richness can we put in? Alec, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this medium is interesting because it's not live theater as we've experienced it ever before. It's also not film. So something about this short rehearsal process, I can tell you this is the third one I've done, and there've been things that didn't go right, especially out of the gates on the last one for me, technically. And then part of me thinking, oh, I'm never gonna do this again. But then at the end, kind of having similar, the feeling of the show must go on, the show does go on. And it's the closest feeling I've had to being on stage this whole time. And I think there's something about that urgency and not being able to overthink the performance ahead of time that's really nice for this medium. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Nathan?
But I will say as a swing, so I was sort of just watching from the outside most of the time and just observing how everybody was working. Something I've noticed now, this is the second time I've done this, and I'm so happy to be back, was because you have a shorter rehearsal period and you start on the Saturday and that's just the meet and greet, and then you're doing it on the Wednesday. Usually when you start a show normally without COVID or anything like that, and it's an in-person show, you feel you can take it easy, at least for the first rehearsal. Like, people aren't showing up right off the plate with their final ideas or stage-worthy ideas, but we know we don't have that time here. We know that we are going to be thrown into the deep end in just a couple of days. And so everybody is doing all this incredible character work and knowing they have to do it right off the gate. There's no waiting around. There's no, I really have to think about this and write a bunch and research a bunch. No, you have to do it now. You have to do it fast, and you have to do it hard. And so everybody comes in ready for action, ready to just explode their character onto the virtual stage. And yes, of course, a longer rehearsal process would be beneficial to any kind of a show, but the fact that we're sort of accelerating what a normal length rehearsal process would be, you're already finishing with something absolutely incredible because of just the amount of fast work everyone's doing, because we know we have the deadline, and it's just absolutely incredible to watch. Because, you know, after 3 or 4 rehearsals in other shows I've done, you know, we are months away from showtime and we're still all just getting to know each other. We've done this in 4 days. Like, what? And that's what kept me coming back. That's what made me want to come back after Coriolanus.
Amazing. Thanks so much, mate. I think Ben Crystal, I think you had your hand up there.
Oh, no, just that, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, that there's something inherent in the DNA of these plays. You know, they were written for a very short rehearsal process. And, you know, you can explore the original practice of rehearsals, and you can fold in cue scripts and that sort of thing. There are lots of methodologies that can help make it even more slick, but cramming it into this short space of time, like tantamount to how much they had 400 years ago. I don't know if anyone else feels it, but there's something that just, I don't know, it feels like you're in the right slide. You know, it feels like you're tuning towards a pace of of making quick choices and bold choices and sharp choices, and then using the mixture of craft and instinct to allow things to just fly.
Wonderful. Ali, I think you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, just adding to what everyone has said, something that I've enjoyed coming back to this. This is my 6th performance, which is wild. But coming back here time and time again is that you're getting the opportunity to work with people that you would otherwise never have the opportunity to work with because of this format. I mean, Sally is in Melbourne and Aurora is in, we're just such a diverse group of people coming together for a moment. And the beautiful thing about this is that it happens so quickly because it has to. And because in this age of COVID, I mean, what else would we be doing other than coming together? And the fact that we have this opportunity to get on Zoom and make a performance, whether it is 3 days or a week, that's not what the important thing is. The time doesn't matter. The time that we spend together doing this is the exciting thing. And it's the love of the performance that keeps us all going. And that's what brings us here. And that's what drives everyone. I'm putting words in all of your mouths. I'm sorry. I'm assuming that that's why we're
here. Jes.
Yeah. Yes. Just from what everyone else has been saying, I absolutely agree with it. But I want to add into it that, it's a huge roller coaster in just 3 days, and all the first little things kind of pop up, and it's so in the moment of a play, which is beautiful. But thinking about it now, I start to think, and probably all the characters as well, wanted to maybe have dived a bit deeper into the characters. And now I'm very what if I've done this? And what if I want to experience the play a bit more. So now I can't wait to do it in a 3-month rehearsal period where I can go oh yes, when I did that, but now I can do it like that. Kind of
Brilliant.
Like that.
Yeah, you've shook its hand, but you want to get to know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it. Who do we have next? Charlotte, I think, is next, and then Peter.
Yeah, again, just picking up on everything that's been said. You've got this incredible diverse group of people from all over the globe coming together to enjoy and share this incredible text and dialogue. But for me, total TSMGO newbie, swinging, 2.5 days of rehearsal, it's the listening. For me, what makes this live is the listening. I don't know about Nathan, who's, swinging with me, if that's not weird. I wasn't watching you guys most of the time. I was listening, I was following. And that, for me, just gives the whole thing a huge lift, because you don't get to know what's coming. You don't get comfortable with the pace of a scene. You just have to live and fly with your instincts and just this way all the time.
Absolutely. It's so interesting, isn't it? I know Ian McKellen, when he talks about Shakespeare, talks about the audience and that coming from audio, and that you went to hear a play rather than to see a play. And I think certainly by the time you get into Henry VIII and The Tempest, I don't think that's entirely true, but I do still think it's meant to be the primary sense, because of course the dexterity with the language and all that kind of thing is because you couldn't do blockbuster in the way that these kind of CGI spectaculars that we have could do it. And so you had to do blockbuster wordsmithing instead. Peter.
So I just have to say, as an actor, I kind of like to run the show at least once before you go live. But there is something about doing it this way where I wasn't afraid of doing it for the first time for an audience. It was, I don't know, I think it worked.
I think it might be the blinkers of the sprint. It just means it's just the next thing I'm doing. Don't have time to get scared about it, really. Arashi.
Just adding on to, I was just going to say, I was terrified doing this. This is my first time. And I was so sure I was going to, mess up all my entrances, all my exits, or I was going to show up as a clown when I was playing a sergeant or something. and none of that happened. And I feel like it's been such an intense experience, and I think any Shakespeare play warrants a really intense experience, and this has been so different. But on the other hand as well, I don't know if other actors feel this way, but for me personally, if I could spend my entire life in a rehearsal room, I would just never leave. I love performing, I love going on stage, but you know, on a day that I'm performing, I wake up and I feel nauseous and I can't get through the day, and it's awful. But then when you get on stage, it's great. But in a rehearsal room, it's just really fun to learn, but doing it in such an intensive way has been mad, absolutely mad. Can't believe it didn't go wrong at any point. That was great.
Amazing. Yeah, I guess it's, do you like baking or do you like cake? And you can like both, can't you? But yeah, absolutely. The process is all. Gabriel.
Yeah, just to kind of follow up on what everyone else has said, but on the community that you develop doing this thing, because like as Ali said earlier, there are people here that we would not have met if not for this situation that we're in, and so it's a real honor and a privilege to get into a room, a virtual room with all of these people who you probably would have never met otherwise. But then I think the thing I thought I would be missing from an actual rehearsal room was the sense of community and togetherness. But I think one of the great things about TSMGO is that doesn't feel lost. That's still there. It's different, but it's not quite the same. And I'm really curious, both in terms of us as a community, but also as individual actors and individual performers. Like speaking as someone who's done this a couple of times before, how this changes the way we work in real life, but in the non-Zoom world. What does that? How has this affected your practices? How has this affected the way you work with people in the room and the way you approach a text? And yeah, also hopefully some of us will end up in the same rehearsal room at the same time, which could be fun. And so what would happen there? Yeah. So those are my thoughts anyway. But yeah, love this. This is great.
Love it. Thanks so much, Gabriel. It's interesting, isn't it? Now that we're so close to the end, inevitably the eyes can just start to turn to the horizon slightly, can't they? And think, ooh, what could be? What could be? Absolutely. Sarah, I think we've got time to squeeze in one more question, I think.
Oh, okay.
If you want to ask them all, and then I'll pick.
All right, I've got two. One is a fun, creative, potentially tricky one, but I'm interested.
Okay.
And the other one is more traditional.
Okay.
So the more traditional question is, how has everyone found it keeping up with the court politics and relationships between the characters in this play? Obviously, a lot of characters. And the other question is, if this wasn't named Henry VIII, what should it be called?
This is a good question. Wow, that is an interesting question. I guess all is true. This is kind of what it was called. It's a good question. It's a good question. Anyone got alternate titles for this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel By Holy Mary, Butts There's Knavery is a pretty good one-line summary. Ben?
Well, actually, I was going to ask Brandi whether she had any insight into this really curious subtitle, into All Is True.
I think, like Rob was saying earlier, I think it's a way of trying to skirt any political sort of problems. What Shakespeare and Fletcher had the actors perform is technically true. I know that it upset a lot of people, and there were a lot of Puritans who were happy when the Globe burned down because it was a sort of like God's will, like you dared to try to perform history, recent history. So what happens is your fault and you deserved it. And so I think All Is True works because there's so much about the truth. Like the word truth appears so many times in the play. And I don't know. And I was trying to think of sort of alternate title myself. I feel like All Is True really works well, but I also kind of feel like since it has some tragic elements, calling it after Wolsey would have been an interesting way to go as well.
Yes, it's all about me.
Amazing. So now we need to hear from Buckingham, Cranmer, Katherine. Absolutely, yeah. It looks like the word truth. I've just done a quick find. I've used the search tool on Word for instances of truth. 21 times it's mentioned in the script. So yeah, it's a really, really commonly evoked word. Thank you so much for that, Brandi. That's great. Anyone else got preferred subtitles or alternate titles for this one?
What about like In All Conscience or something? Because I know we kept. I know that Lachlan as the king has a lot of conscience stuff. Wolsey definitely did. Katherine has a conscience of where she's going, and and there's a lot of people not always doing the right thing, and then getting their comeuppance for it.
Mm. Now, bear in mind, my script includes my notes, so this may not be accurate, but I have conscience appearing 22 times. So actually one more than truth currently. That's fascinating. Truth and conscience. And of course, the double meaning there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, exactly. So all is maybe not so true is another option. I mean, it's interesting because he and Fletcher, Shakespeare and Fletcher, actually took Katherine's actual speech from the trial and paraphrased it. So actually her I do desire you do me right and justice is actually from her speech to the trial to Henry in history. And in fact, that whole speech is lifted from that. And her death speech is lifted from the rumored letter that she wrote to Henry before she died. So there are actual truthful elements taken from actual history and incorporated into the play, which I find really interesting. They're a bit of a Katherine fan, the pair of them, clearly. She got off very well out of that whole scenario. But, so that was truthful in the sense that it come from the actual documents. And then obviously there was a bit of propaganda thrown in there for good measure. So maybe not all is true.
It's interesting, isn't it? It appears that Katherine is the only character mentioned in the epilogue. It says about the merciful construction of good women for such a one we showed them. And I feel like that, it'd be a stretch to say that's Elizabeth. So I'm assuming it must be Katherine.
Yeah, I take it as read that, yeah.
I'll take it.
But yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, marvelous. Right, well, that is all we have time for this evening, girls, gals, and non-binary pals. So thank you so much for joining us. But before you leave, I have a couple of important requests to make. Next week is going to be our final first folio production, The Tempest. It's coming right around the corner. It's coming very quickly. If you have yet to recommend TSMGO to your friends, now is the time. If you have never seen The Tempest, now is the time. If you are not following us on social media, now is the time. If you have not made a donation to Patreon, now is the time. If you have not got yourself a bit of Redbubble TSMGO merchandise, now is the time. But there might also be a time after The Tempest where you might want to check out our store. Please, everyone, please tell everyone you know and then tell them to tell everyone they know about what it is we're doing here, because we would love to make next week's show a massive celebration of this insane 8-month journey that we've been on together. So I hope that we will see you all there. Thank you so much and good night. And we're out. Congratulations,